Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, copy for all, starting from the Heaven-Defying Comprehension. Chapter 81. If you want to know who I am, go to hell and ask the Lord of Hell. Looking at the old eunuch who was still staring blankly, Yi Qing's eyes showed a trace of joy. He finally killed the eunuch. It was really not easy. This battle can be said to be the most thrilling battle he has ever experienced so far, and all means have been used. In order to lure the old eunuch into taking the bait, he deliberately cooperated with the other party and left dozens of blood marks on his body from being cut by the sword. Even with the evergreen kung fu constantly healing the wounds, a lot of blood still flowed out. In addition, the last one Yang finger was able to unleash the power of the 8th level of innate power because he even used the true meaning of power that he had originally comprehended, making his own power doubled. Only then did the power from the peak of the 7th level of innate power rise to the 8th level of innate power, breaking the heart of the old eunuch in one fell swoop, causing him to fall on the spot. If he had not seized this great opportunity, it would have been very difficult to kill the old eunuch. After all, the old eunuch was really too fast. After seeing Yi Qing's strength doubled and the injured hand suddenly regaining its normal ability, the old eunuch's behavior in the future will be much more conservative. At that time, even if Yi Qing wants to kill him, it will be difficult. At this moment, looking at the old eunuch's freshly dead body that was still cold, and the rapidly dissipating essence, energy, and spirit, Yi Qing decided to take advantage of the heat. Don't get me wrong, Yi Qing is not a pervert and wants to do some indescribable things while the heat is on. Not to mention that this was an old eunuch. Even if she was a beautiful woman in her prime, Yi Qing would not be able to do indescribable things to a corpse. He took advantage of the opponent's corpse before it cooled down, grabbed the opponent's wrist immediately, and used the devouring ability of the Eternal Green technique. This was a 7th level innate strongman, and the energy contained in his body was extremely huge. In addition, he had just died and his body was not cold yet. Although the essence, energy, and spirit in the body are dissipating rapidly, there is still a lot of the remaining part, so it cannot be wasted. As for letting the other party die in peace, there is no such thing. The hatred of blocking the road is irreconcilable. If you don't squeeze all the value out of him, you will never rest. In an instant, Yi Qing felt a majestic force of mixed energy and spirit flowing down the other person's arm and into his palm. Then it flowed along the meridians and into his dantian, starting a restless riot. While Yi Qing devoured the old eunuch's vitality, he also mobilized the eternal Qing Gong Qi to suppress these alien energies belonging to the old eunuch. After about a while, the old eunuch who was originally a normal person had turned into a withered corpse of a little old man. The essence, energy and spirit in his body were almost completely gone. 80% of them dissipated into the void and returned to heaven and earth, while about 20% were swallowed up by Yi Qing and suppressed in the dantian. After leaving the palace, they were slowly refined, tempered and integrated into the physical body. The poor old eunuch died in the hands of Yi Qing without even reporting his name, and his body was squeezed dry by Yi Qing. Yi Qing estimated that the energy contained in about 20% of the essence was equivalent to 2,000 or 3,000-year-old ginseng. If it is absorbed and refined by his flesh, blood, muscles and bones for a long time, it will be enough to upgrade his body from the 3rd innate level to the 4th innate level. If he is lucky, it is even possible to reach the 5th innate level. After coming to this conclusion, Yi Qing felt happy but also very regretful. If he can capture the opponent alive and then activate his devouring ability to devour all the opponent's essence, energy, and spirit, he can at least upgrade his physical body to the level of Senmigi Shigekatsu. But there is no way, the opponent's speed is too fast. If you don't deal with the opponent at once, I'm afraid the opponent will escape. By then, not to mention the old eunuch's energy and spirit, even 20% of what Yi Qing has devoured now will not be obtained. There is also the possibility that there is no time to search for the large amount of natural materials and treasures left here, and you will have to run away with the sack. Therefore, Yi Qing only regrets that he killed the old eunuch and only devoured 20% of his essence, energy, and spirit, but he will not regret it. After exhaling a breath of turbid air, Yi Qing prepared to walk to the shelf and continue the previous action, that is, open the box on the shelf and put all the treasures inside into the sack. But just as he moved his feet, he heard a clang. When he looked down, he accidentally mentioned the sword in the old eunuch's hand. This made him feel something in his heart. As a 7th-level innate warrior and a descendant of Sunflower, the old eunuch's combat prowess in the entire Yuanting could not be said to be second only to the national master boss Siba, or at least one of the top ones. Otherwise, how could he be sent to guard the palace treasure house? Would the sword used by such a big man be an ordinary weapon? Obviously impossible. So, Yi Qing no longer hesitated and immediately picked up the sword in the old eunuch's hand and inspected it carefully. This sword is 4 feet long, and its blade is glowing with green light. There is no trace of blood at all, and it looks like there is no blood on it. There seemed to be 2 characters engraved on the hilt of the sword. After careful identification, these 2 characters were Qingzi. Yi Qing suddenly realized, Qingzi sword. It turns out to be it. The sword used by the sword demon Dugu Chofei before Weak Guan was fierce, invincible, and killed all the heroes in Heshuo with fear. No wonder I can instantly defeat my body's protective golden light time and time again without suffering any damage. Legend has it that in the earlier 3 Kingdoms period at the end of the Han Dynasty, this green sword was the sword of the heroic Boss Cao. Boss Cao gave it to his close confidant Sha Haoan to carry on his back. Zhao Yun killed 7 in and 7 out of Cao's army. The green sword he captured from Sha Haoan also played a huge role. The quality of such a famous sword is probably comparable to the Yishan sword of the Ma sect. At most, it may not be as powerful as the Yishan sword in terms of the transmission of true energy. But it doesn't matter. The swordsmanship I practice happens to be the Dugu 9 swords created by Dugu Chubai. This Qingzi sword is a perfect match. From now on, this sword will belong to me. Thinking of this, Yi Qing immediately picked up the Qingzi sword and walked towards the Tiansai and Dabao area. He decided that after he had searched for the top Tiansai and Dabao, he would go to the magic weapon area in this secret room to find a suitable scabbard. Since the battle with the old eunuch took a lot of time, Yi Qing did not dare to delay. First, she looked for the 1,000-year-old top-notch natural materials and earthly treasures on the shelves, such as 1,000-year-old ginseng, 1,000-year-old polygonum multiflorum, 1,000-year-old Tianshan snow lotus, etc. After he swept away these things, he found that there were 50 pieces in total. This is still what is left of Yuanting itself. If we include what has been consumed over the years, as well as the 1,000-year-old treasures of heaven, materials and earth that were awarded to important civil and military officials and several princes, this number will be at least several times higher. After collecting the 1,000-year-old treasures of heaven and earth, Yi Qing continued to sweep away the treasures of heaven and earth that were more than 100 years old. After about 5 minutes, he finally packed away all the treasures of heaven and earth that were more than 100 years old. The number was estimated to be about 800. With so many treasures of heaven and earth, it can only be said that it is the Yuanting with the largest territory in the history of Kyushu. The Mongolian cavalry once conquered Russia and swept across European countries, plundering countless treasures. Even if only a part of these treasures of heaven and earth are left in the treasure house of Yuanting Palace, it is still a huge number. And the large sack he brought could not contain such a large number of treasures that were more than 100 years old. For this reason, he had to spend some time and go to the treasure house outside to find a large sack that was as tall as a person to hold antiques, calligraphy and paintings, and went back to the secret room to continue packing. Despite this, when he finished loading, the 2 large sacks were still so full that he could barely tie them with the rope. This is thanks to these natural treasures. Most of them are smaller ginseng, and there are not many larger polygonum multiflorum. Otherwise, let alone 2 big sacks, even 2 more cannot be filled. At this moment, after getting the treasures of heaven and earth, Yi Qing went to the magic weapons area first. There are still a lot of magic weapons here, including 18 kinds of weapons, and there are at least hundreds of swords in total. Unfortunately, they are just ordinary magic weapons, completely incomparable to the green sword in Yi Qing's hand. It is estimated that the top batch of magic weapons are not placed here. Therefore, Yi Qing could only randomly choose a cyan scabbard that seemed to match the Qingzi sword, then sheathed the Qingzi sword, put it behind his back and tied it with a rope. After doing this, he used Qing Kung again and walked around, and found an area where martial arts secret books were placed. Most of them are ordinary acquired martial arts, and there are only about a dozen innate martial arts, all of which are of average quality. Top-notch innate secrets such as the Sunflower Book, or Wong Baoshuo's immortality art, are not placed here. Based on the idea that mosquito legs are also flesh, Yi Qing simply put all the more than 10 innate level martial arts books in his arms, waiting to take a look at them when he went back to increase his martial arts knowledge. After reading it, it can be left to the Kong Tong sect to enrich the martial arts content in the sect and provide it for many elders and disciples to practice, giving them more choices. Originally, Yi Qing wanted to look here to see if there were any elixirs refined by the Imperial physicians and alchemists of the Yuanting Palace, but he couldn't find them and probably didn't put them here either. In this case, he stopped looking and returned home with 2 large sacks of natural treasures, a green sword and more than a dozen ordinary innate secrets. He carried 2 large sacks on his shoulders and came to the gate of the palace treasure house. He carefully checked it out and made sure that no one noticed anything going on here. After he lurked outside, he immediately used Qinggang and left. Compared to how cautious she was when she sneaked into the palace before, Yi Qing is now much bolder when leaving the palace. Yuanting's national master Ba Siba was led away, and the old eunuch, the descendant of Sunflower, died in his hands. He didn't believe that there were other powerful people in the palace who could catch up with him. To put it bluntly, even if there was such a strong man, he would personally protect Emperor Yuan Shun rather than come after him. What if someone else assassinates Emperor Yuan Shun during the pursuit of Yi Qing? Even if this situation is unlikely, the other party will not take the gamble. Therefore, Yi Qing swaggeringly used the Dacheng level Feishu light smoke skill and ran towards the outside of the palace without worrying about being discovered. After a while, the patrolling palace guard spotted his figure and immediately shouted, "There is an assassin." Immediately, a large number of guards came after hearing the sound, but it was a pity that they came too late. You might be able to see Yi Qing during the day, but in this dark night, you can't even see Yi Qing's back, even if you are an innate strong man. After a while, Yi Qing successfully left the palace. Hearing the sounds of shouting and killing coming from all over the capital city, he ignored them and went straight to the city gate. But in just half a quarter of an hour, they had arrived near the city gate. He originally wanted to find an unguarded section of the city wall and use Qinggang to directly climb over the wall. However, after looking at the closed city gate and the hundreds of Imperial city guards guarding the city gate, after thinking about it, I gave up the plan of climbing over the wall. Turned towards the city gate. Because the Imperial city of this martial arts world is no better than the capital city of Blue Star in his previous life. The city wall is 7 feet high. With Yi Qing's own lightness skills and strength, he can indeed climb over it easily. But the same cannot be said for many of his disciples of the Kong Tong sect, and the same is true for the disciples of other sects. Even ordinary innate warriors like the 5 elders of Kong Tong still need to step on the wall many times to gain strength before they can climb up. If there are still many soldiers guarding the city wall, casually shooting bows and arrows, or knocking down rolling logs, boulders, hot oil, etc. are enough to make ordinary innate warriors return to glory without success. Therefore, if he does not fight Qian Lihao to pass this city gate, no matter whether they are disciples of Kong Tong sect, disciples of Wudang, Mingjiao, Tianying sect, or Xiaoyao sect, they will all suffer losses under the defense of hundreds of people. Heavy. Even ordinary innate warriors may suffer losses. At this moment, when they saw Yi Qing walking over carrying 2 large sacks, the Imperial guards guarding the city gate immediately prepared for an attack. Then the guard commander shouted, "Let go." In an instant, hundreds of arrows were shot at Yi Qing. Facing these arrows, Yi Qing showed a look of disdain and directly activated the protective golden light to protect herself and the 2 sacks inside, speeding up and rushing towards the city gate. Bang bang bang. Just hearing loud noises, everyone's arrows seemed to have hit an iron plate, being bounced away by the golden light of body protection activated by Yi Qing, and even broken by the force of the counter shock. Seeing this scene, the guard commander showed a hint of panic in his eyes. He did not dare to hesitate and shouted again, "It is an innate martial arts expert who is preparing the siege crossbow." The others are shooting arrows quickly to provide cover for the siege crossbow. With the sound of wheels turning, a total of 3 siege ballistas were pushed out from behind the crowd. As you can tell from the name, the siege ballista was supposed to be used for sieges. It could be fired directly into the depths of the city wall for soldiers to climb the wall. It was extremely powerful. But now, the Wudang Imperial City Guard army specially brought siege ballistas as backup for the sake of the opponent's martial arts experts, and they even brought 3 of them directly. Not only this city gate, but the guards at other city gates in the entire capital city all pulled siege ballistae over. This shows how much effort they put into quelling the chaos in the capital city. At this moment, Yi Qing had no intention of paying attention to the ordinary bows and arrows fired at him, and they couldn't hurt him anyway. He was not in a hurry to deal with this group of people, but instead looked at the 3 siege ballistas. Because he wanted to see how powerful the legendary siege ballista was. Soon, he saw that with the wave of the guard commander's hand, the 3 siege ballista's arrows, which were more than 2 meters long and as thick as a bowl, were fired together. They shot straight towards Yi Qing at extremely fast speeds, making a huge sound when they rubbed against the air. The next moment, these 3 huge arrows successfully bombarded the golden light surrounding Yi Qing's body, causing 3 loud booms in succession, as if dynamite had exploded. The huge impact force came, making Yi Qing couldn't help but shake her body. Seeing the 3 huge arrows shattered by the backlash of the protective golden light, Yi Qing couldn't help but admired, what a siege ballista. It really lives up to its reputation. It is comparable to the experience of an innate first-level warrior. 3 siege ballistas plus so many ordinary bows and arrows, even the second and third level innate warriors would not dare to break through this level. Beta. It's a pity that you met me today. Yi Qing, who had already seen the power of the siege crossbow, did not intend to stay any longer. After speaking, he put the 2 sacks on his shoulders behind him. Then, I saw him stretch out his hands, mobilize the true energy in his body, and at the same time display a yang finger. In an instant, 2 tyrannical Yiyangji Qi spanned a distance of 20 feet and struck the 2 soldiers who were loading arrows for the siege ballista. They shot directly through their hearts and knocked them out on the spot. Die. Then, the 2 yang finger Qi that consumed part of their strength continued to move forward, piercing through the bodies of 7 or 8 more people before dissipating. 2 yang fingers pointed at Qi, and from a distance of 20 feet, they killed 17 or 8 Imperial city guards at once, which immediately shocked the guard commander. While he was directing others to take up positions and continue loading siege crossbow arrows, he quietly retreated, trying to hide behind the crowd. But how could Yi Qing get what he wanted? As the saying goes, shoot the man first, shoot the horse first, and capture the thief first, capture the king. Yi Qing's second wave of yang finger Qi was directed towards the guard commander. The commander of the Imperial City Guards was just an ordinary person. Faced with the yang finger Qi that was shooting at him at a rapid speed, he simply could not resist and was killed on the spot. The leader's death in full public view immediately caused chaos among many Imperial City Guards. Yi Qing took advantage of this opportunity and used the index fingers of both hands to continuously use yang finger in the air, like a machine gun firing, shooting out a stream of finger energy, killing 1 soldier after another. However, in just 2 or 3 minutes, hundreds of Imperial City Guards guarding the city gate were all killed by Yi Qing's finger. Then, he flashed and quickly came to the city gate, sending out both palms at the same time. 2 surging palm powers comparable to the 7th level of Shantian, bombarded the huge city gate, and instantly knocked the 2 city gates flying out, shattering to pieces on the ground. Seeing this scene, Yi Qing showed a satisfied look, turned back, put the 2 big sacks on his shoulders, and walked towards the empty city gate. When passing 3 siege ballistas, I kicked them a few times and destroyed them all. The Imperial Guards at the north gate of the capital city have been destroyed and the city gate is in pieces. Anyone who wants to leave can go through the north gate. When Yi Qing stepped out of the city gate, he turned around and shouted loudly. With the blessing of Junshi, the sound resounded throughout the capital city and was heard by everyone on both sides of the enemy. After roaring, he used Qinggong and left without looking back. There are too many things in his 2 big sacks and they are too valuable. If something goes wrong, wouldn't it be too late to regret it? In the capital city, people from various factions who were fighting with the guards of Wudang Imperial City felt happy and rushed towards the north gate. And the Imperial City Guards were chasing after them. It's a pity that most of the Imperial City Guards are ordinary people, and the people from various factions are at least 5 acquired warriors or above. How can they catch up? Only a few of the Imperial City Guards with their own cultivation can still follow them. It's useless alone. With the disciples and innate strong men of the four sects of Kong Tong, Wudang, Mingjiao and Xiaoyao sects meeting at the North City Gate, not only are they more numerous but their strength has also been greatly enhanced. The few Imperial city guards who followed were no match for them at all. They could only watch helplessly as people from various factions, dressed in night clothes, left one by one carrying large sacks. Soon, a large force of Imperial city guards arrived. Looking at the empty city gate and the corpses of hundreds of colleagues, they all stopped silently at the city gate and did not go out to pursue. As an Imperial city guard, it is enough to protect the capital city. There is no need to leave the capital city to pursue the enemy. After all, they only have a few taels of silver in 10 months. Why are they risking their lives? Only by relying on the gray income in daily life can we maintain a life of debauchery. Even if they chase them out, there is a high possibility that they will not be able to catch up. If they catch up, they may not be able to defeat them. They may even be ambushed, causing them heavy losses. Not seeing the corpses of their colleagues all over the ground, the 3 damaged siege ballistas, and the 2 completely broken city gates reminded them that the enemy was very powerful. Couldn't they, little Kalami, match it? On the other side, after Yi Qing stayed away from the North City Gate, she used Qinggang and ran all the way to a small forest 30 miles away. She lit a fire and waited silently. That's right, they did not return to the town where they settled before, but for safety reasons, they chose another direction to meet in a small forest 30 miles away from the capital city. There are disciples of the Ming cult here. They brought all the horses that were left in the town here in advance. They also thoughtfully prepared some dry food and water bags. While waiting, Yi Qing took off his night clothes and threw them into the fire to be burned. Then he sat cross-legged and meditated, constantly performing the dragon elephant golden body skill to refine the essence, energy and spiritual energy belonging to the old eunuch. As for the many injuries on his body, they were all restored by the eternal Qing Qi on his way out of the palace to the North City Gate, leaving only faint scars. With the powerful healing power of the evergreen Kung Fu, it is estimated that even this scar will disappear completely in a day or two, and the skin will return to its original appearance. About an hour later, Yi Qing's dragon elephant golden body skill consumed, absorbed and refined 1% of the old eunuch's essence, energy and energy. The people from various factions who gathered together finally arrived at the grove and successfully reunited with Yi Qing. Among them, Zhu Yu of the Wudang sect immediately released a flare to alert his master Zhang Sanfeng that they had successfully evacuated and were meeting at the agreed-upon location. Afterwards, everyone sat on the floor one after another, or simply closed their eyes and rested, meditated to recover the loss of internal energy and qi, or ate some dry food to replenish their physical strength. The reason why it took so long to come was mainly because it took a while for everyone to meet up in the capital city. In addition, after many battles, the disciples in the acquired realm were a little exhausted, so the speed of the journey was naturally slower. Yi Qing observed it and found that although everyone had disheveled hair and more or less bloodstains on their bodies, which made them look unsightly, everyone had smiles on their faces. He estimated that everyone's harvest should be pretty good. However, the number of the entire crowd was smaller than when they came here. Those few people naturally died in the capital city, and were killed by the Imperial city guards during the retreat. Fortunately, those who died belonged to various sects, rather than one of them, otherwise the top leaders of some sect would have gone crazy. Among them, the 5 masters of the Kong Tong sect that Yi Qing belonged to had no damage. Of the 30 inner disciples who reached the 6th level of acquired life, there are still 26 of them, and only 4 have died, which is still within Yi Qing's acceptance range. Moreover, among the 26 inner disciples who survived, 3 of them broke through before the battle and became the most powerful people in the 7th level of the acquired world. Although each of the other 23 people had injuries on their bodies, their eyes were bright and their spirits, energy, and spirit were in a different state than before. I estimate that after going back to practice in seclusion for a period of time, and with a lot of resources, most people should be able to break through. Sure enough, there are great dangers between life and death, but there are also great opportunities. It seems that in the future, more disciples of the Kong Tong sect will be sent down the mountain to clear out bandits, and perform chivalrous acts of justice. This can not only spread the reputation of the Kong Tong sect, but also allow the disciples to experience the training of battle. As long as they can survive, their cultivation will make great progress. While Yi Qing was thinking about these things, Zhang Sanfeng, who was wearing a white Taoist robe and with fair hair and a childlike face, finally arrived here. Compared with before, Zhang Sanfeng's face became much paler at this time, his breath also dropped a lot, and there were even more blood stains on his white robe. It can be seen that his battle with Pasiba was also very dangerous. As Zhang Sanfeng's direct disciple, Zhu Yu was the first to greet him and asked with concern, "Master, are you okay? Are you seriously injured?" Zhang Sanfeng smiled slightly, waved his hands and said, "It's okay, it's just a little internal injury. As long as you return to Wudang Mountain and recuperate for about half a month, you will be able to recover." Although Zhang Sanfeng said it lightly, with his cultivation level, he still needs to cultivate for more than half a month, which shows that the injuries he suffered this time are definitely not serious. Yi Qing thought for a while and said, "Master Zhang, if you don't mind, how about asking this junior to help you heal your injuries after returning to Wudang Mountain?" Because of the previous kindness, Zhang Sanfeng still trusted Yi Qing very much and did not refuse. "Since I am willing to help, I would like to thank you very much. By the way, Yuanting Imperial Master Ba Siba's injury should be lighter than that of Lao Dao. This time you have gained a huge harvest, but Yuanting and Dadu City have suffered heavy losses. In order to prevent him from chasing Yuanting's Imperial army, we'd better travel overnight and stay away from Dadu City as soon as possible." It happened that everyone had almost rested. After hearing Zhang Sanfeng's suggestion, they all got on their horses, took the big sacks with them, and continued on their way under the cover of night. The group of people galloped on their horses on the road. When they were hungry, they ate dry food and drank water to fill their stomachs. When they were tired, they dismounted and rested for a while, allowing the horses to eat and rest. In the end, it took only 2 days for everyone to successfully return to the small town at the foot of Wudang Mountain, 3 days faster than the trip to Dadu. It wasn't until this moment that everyone truly relaxed and didn't have to worry about any surprises in their gains in the metropolis. Afterwards, the Kong Tong and Wudang sects went directly to Wudang Mountain to rest inside the Wudang sect. The pioneers of the Ming sect, the Sky Eagle sect and the Xiaoyao sect, as well as Venerable Haoyang and Fairy Jade Bee, stayed in the town for a while and then parted ways to say goodbye and leave. "Everyone, we have a long way to go. We are destined to meet again." On the mountain, within the Wudang sect, they learned that Zhang Sanfeng was seriously injured. Song Yuanchao immediately arranged a quiet room and asked Yi Qing to help Zhang Sanfeng heal his injuries. Then he went to the kitchen in person and ordered the Taoist to cook a sumptuous meal to entertain everyone in the Kong Tong sect. It has to be said that Zhang Sanfeng's injury was really serious. Yi Qing used the vitality of the eternal Qing Qi and the Yiyang finger to completely cure the injury for 2 full hours. You know, even if Yi Qing's shoulder was attacked by an old eunuch and injured the muscles and bones, it only took a few minutes to almost repair it. In this way, we can see how serious Zhang Sanfeng's internal injuries are. It will not only take more than half a month to recover as he said, but at least another month. It seems that Zhang Sanfeng said that it will take more than half a month just to prevent Zhu Yu and others from worrying, so that everyone will not be panicked. At this moment, when the treatment was over, Zhang Sanfeng immediately expressed his gratitude to Yi Qing. "Thank you, Master Yi, for your hard work in healing the old Taoist." Yi Qing waved his hand. "No problem, it's just a little effort." Zhang Sanfeng solemnly said, "The old Taoist knows his injuries. I said before that it would take half a month to recover, but it was just to comfort everyone so as not to cause panic. Now, little friend, you are here to help me. With your special Qi and Yang finger, I was able to repair the old Taoist's injuries in just 2 hours. For the veteran, it is really helpful because it saves so much time." The old Taoist heard from Zhu Yu's disciple before that Master Yi wants to collect all kinds of secrets in order to observe the gems from other mountains, learn by analogy, and perfect the skills and secrets you have created. For this reason, 963 specifically allowed Zhu Yu to credit and taught him the Dragon Elephant Prajna technique, a martial arts golden elixir level secret esoteric skill. Master Yi has been very benevolent to Wudang, and now he is working tirelessly to heal the wounds of the old Taoist. Since Master Yi has the ambition to follow his own path, how can the old Taoist do this as a senior in the martial arts world? Later, the old Taoist will give an order to pass the news to everyone in Wudang and let the Wudang Sutra Pavilion be permanently open to Master Yi. Headmaster Yi can read all the martial arts techniques and Taoist classics for free. Besides, although Lao Dao was seriously injured in this battle with the Mongolian master Pasiba, he also gained a lot. The old Taoist has been conceiving and creating a Tai Chi yin and yang way, and now he finally has a direction. When the old Taoist retreats for a period of time, he will be able to perfect it and create it. At that time, the old Taoist will definitely notify Master Yi to come to Wudang and teach the yin and yang of Tai Chi to Master Yi. Hearing Zhang Sanfeng's promise, Yi Qing couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. He really didn't expect that Zhang Sanfeng would be so generous. Not only did he open the Wudang Sutra Pavilion, but he was also willing to teach him the yin and yang of Tai Chi that he would create in the future. It can be seen that Zhang Sanfeng is a capable person, and he will really give you good things if you have them. His efforts to befriend Wudang are not in vain. Thinking of this, Yi Qing clasped her fists in joy and said thank you Master Zhang. Zhang Sanfeng smiled slightly. There is no need for this. For an experienced Taoist, these are easy tasks. It is even easier than your hard work to heal the old Taoist's injuries. By the way, 2 hours have passed. The Wudang sect's Taoist fire masters may have already prepared the banquet, so we are the only ones out. Let's go out together. Hearing this, Yi Qing naturally agreed and left the quiet room to join everyone from the Kong Tong sect. In the past 2 days, I returned to the Wudang sect from Dadu. I only had dry food and water. I didn't have a good meal at all. Now I can satisfy my craving. After the group of people finished the banquet happily, they went back to their rooms to rest. Even Yi Qing rarely took a rest by meditating, but fell directly on the bed. Sometimes, instead of meditating and resting, it is better to just lie on the bed and take a nap. Early the next morning, after eating the morning medicinal meal, everyone from the Kong Tong faction gathered in Yi Qing's courtyard to count their harvest. Because the treasures in the mansions of wealthy merchants, civil and military officials, and several princes in the capital city are far inferior to the treasures of the royal palace. Therefore, everyone did not just focus on the treasures of heaven and earth that are more than 100 years old, but took away all the useful medicinal materials. This has also led to the fact that most of the sacks in everyone's hands are ordinary medicinal materials or natural materials and treasures. The number of top-notch natural materials and treasures that are more than 100 years old has moved side by side. Fortunately, there are a lot of people in the Kong Tong sect. If we add them all together, the number is pretty good. Among them, ordinary medicinal materials and natural treasures are not of high value and can be easily bought with money, so needless to say, there were almost 500 treasures of heaven and earth that were over 100 years old. There were 32 of them in total, and each of them stole about 15 on average. In addition, there are also 1,000-year-old ginseng, which is not much in number, only 5 in total. Although the combined harvest of so many of them is not as good as Yi Qing's alone, this number is actually very high. After all, they were only stealing treasures in the capital city, while Yi Qing was stealing treasures from the palace treasury. There is no comparison between the two. Moreover, in addition to their Kong Tong sect, there are also people from Wudang, Mingjiao, Tianying sect, and Xiaoyao sect participating. The 5 forces divide the entire metropolis into 5 areas, and each force only corresponds to one of the areas to avoid conflicts of interest. As a result, the harvest equivalent to that of the Kong Tong sect tonight only occupies 1/5 of the capital city, or even less than 1/5. Because some rich merchants and civil and military officials in the Yuan dynasty had no time to visit the treasure troves in their homes. If calculated in this way, the total number of top-notch natural materials and earthly treasures that are over 100 years old in the entire metropolis is actually far more than the palace treasure trove. Only the quantity of heavenly materials and earthly treasures that are more than 1,000 years old is lower than that of the palace treasure trove. This means that Dadu City is the imperial city of Yuanting, and it can be replaced by any city other than Dadu City. It is impossible for the rich merchants and Yuanting officials there to have so many treasures of heaven and earth that are over 100 years old. As for the treasures of heaven and earth that are over 1,000 years old, you have to be lucky to come across one. After counting the harvest, Yi Qing divided half of the heavenly materials and earthly treasures he had stolen from the palace and sent them to Zhang Sanfeng. When Zhang Sanfeng saw the 25 pieces of heavenly materials and earthly treasures that were over 1,000 years old and the 400 pieces of heavenly materials and earthly treasures that were over 100 years old that Yi Qing had brought, even considering his cultivation level, he couldn't help but be moved. Just for these 400 heavenly materials and earthly treasures that are more than 100 years old, if the Wudang clan were to collect them, I don't know how many years it would take to collect them all. 25,000-year-old heavenly materials and earthly treasures, the Wudang clan would probably not be able to obtain them even in for 100 years, so much. I didn't expect that I could gain so much in just 10 days during a trip to Dadu. Sure enough, the Imperial Court is the largest sect force in the world. Being in the public domain is a good way to practice, and this is not just talk. The only flaw is that joining the Imperial Court is not as free as joining the Zhonghu sect. But compared with the massive resources for practice, many warriors would rather give up their freedom. Zhang Sanfeng believed that if the nation in charge of Zhouzhou Sheji was not the foreign Yuan Ting, but the imperial court established by the Han people, I am afraid that many people would not be able to help but join the imperial court and serve the imperial court. After sighing for a while, Zhang Sanfeng did not refuse and readily accepted the treasures of heaven and earth sent by Yi Qing. During this trip to Dadu, although he did not personally steal the treasure, he did drag down Yuanting's most trusted advisor, Ba Siba, and suffered serious internal injuries for this. He can be said to be the person with the greatest contribution. Without him, Yi Qing would have stolen so many top-notch materials and treasures from the palace treasury, even whether he could enter the palace treasury would be a problem. Therefore, the half of the treasures sent by Yi Qing is what he deserves, and it is also the reward agreed in advance. Furthermore, after his battle with Pasiba, he gained a huge understanding of his own Tai Chi yin and yang. Maybe he will be able to create the Tai Chi mind method and hit the golden elixir realm of martial arts. At that time, these resources can be used just in time to help him save the time for the Emperor's cultivation to transform. Maybe he still can't use up all the points, so he can give some points to his 8 direct disciples. At this moment, Yi Qing saw Zhang Sanfeng readily accepting the treasures of heaven and earth, and a smile appeared on his face. Master Zhang, yesterday you said that the Wudang sect's Sutra Pavilion will be open to juniors, don't you know? Zhang Sanfeng smiled slightly. Master Yi, just go to the Buddhist Scripture Pavilion. The old Taoist has already told Yuanchao about this. In this way, in the future, the juniors will disturb the Wudang clan and Master Zhang. Master Yi is my great benefactor to Wudang. No matter how long I live in Wudang, it doesn't matter. After the two joked with each other for a while, Yi Qing said goodbye to Zhang Sanfeng and walked towards the Wudang sect's Sutra Pavilion. He couldn't wait to see the Wudang clan's many unique skills. As for the 5 elders of Kong Tong and the 27 disciples of Kong Tong, under the arrangement of the Wudang sect, they took several carriages and marched towards the Kong Tong sect with the harvest from this trip to Dadu. On the other side, in the Sutra Pavilion of the Wudang sect, after Yi Qing came here, the doctor went around in a circle. There are 3 floors here. The first floor is the largest and contains various Taoist classics that the Wudang sect has worked hard to collect. On the second level, there are a large number of martial arts secrets, some from other sects in the world, and some from Wudang sect itself, but they are all acquired level secrets. The third level is the smallest and has the smallest number of martial arts secrets, but the quality is very high and they are all innate level secrets. Moreover, just like the second level, the innate skills of this third level include those from the Wudang sect and those from non-Wudang sects. Yi Qing thought for a while and decided not to read the martial arts secret books first, but to start from the first floor and read the Taoist classics here. The Kong Tong sect is also a Taoist sect, and has collected many Taoist classics, but compared to the Wudang sect, which is at its peak, the number is still a bit lower. There are many Taoist classics here that the Kong Tong sect does not have. Taoist classics contain the wisdom of predecessors and their understanding of heaven and earth. Although reading these classics cannot directly increase your cultivation, it can cultivate your sentiments, temper your soul and will, understand the natural rules of the movement of heaven and earth, and increase your own wisdom and heritage. Therefore, compared with those unique skills, these Taoist classics are equally important. It just so happened that 20% of the essence, qi, and divine energy of the old eunuch, the descendant of Sunflower, that Yi Qing had swallowed before, was still being suppressed in his body. He had to deal with it as soon as possible. Otherwise, you can't fight against the innate strong, because once the battle becomes too fierce, the energy will riot and backfire on Yi Qing. It may even be the straw that breaks the camel's back, causing him to die in the hands of the enemy. So, he decided to stay in the Wudang sect, and after consuming all 20% of the old eunuch's spiritual energy, he returned to the Kong Tong sect. It took an hour in the small woods outside the capital city to consume only 1% of the refining. At this rate, it would take at least 8 days to completely consume the refining. But Yi Qing can't spend his energy on this every day. He also has to practice internal strength, mental strength and martial arts, which takes up a lot of time. As a result, he would spend at most 4 hours refining the old eunuch's energy every day. In total, it would take more than 20 days to complete the task and leave Wudang Mountain. After such a long time, there is no need to be so anxious to read the martial arts secrets in the Tibetan scripture pavilion. After all, in addition to practicing martial arts, whether it is practicing internal strength, mental strength, or consuming refined energy, you can spend some time reading books. In this way, Yi Qing seemed to have settled in the Sutra Pavilion of the Wudang sect. Apart from practicing martial arts and solving personal life problems, he basically stayed in the Sutra Pavilion the rest of the time. Even if you rest, rely on meditation instead. It only takes 2 or 3 hours to restore your spirit to its peak. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, it was 24 days later. It took him 24 days to finally read all the Taoist classics in the Sutra Pavilion that the Kong Tong sect did not have. Rely on your photographic memory and remember it deeply in your mind, and then digest it slowly later. I also read through all the acquired martial arts secret books and most of the innate martial arts secret books. Relying on his heaven-defying understanding, he realized a lot of things. Although the quality was not high, it greatly increased his martial arts foundation. There are only a few innate skills that he values that are left at the end to read. In addition, on the 6th day, Yi Qing consumed and refined 20% of the old eunuch's spiritual energy for a quarter of an hour. His 110-degree physical strength and dragon elephant golden body skill finally broke through the shackles and broke through to the 4th level of innateness. This made him happy, but also very regretful. The external skill cultivation level only breaks through from the middle stage of the 3rd level of innate to the 4th level of innate, which consumes a quarter of the refined energy. It seems that the remaining 3/4 of the spiritual energy is no longer enough to advance his external skills to the 5th level of innateness. Sure enough, by the end of the 24th day, when he had consumed and refined all the remaining essence and energy, his external skills had only broken through to the late stage of the 4th innate level. This is still one step away from the peak of the 4th level, let alone the innate 5th level. But it doesn't matter, he still has many enemies, including Wong Ba of the Ruyang Palace, the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow, He Biwing among the 2 elders of Zan Ming, and the 4 Dharma kings of the Gangxiang Tantric sect of the Vajra sect. In addition, there are Ada, Air, Asan, and Cheng Kun from the Ruyang Palace. Although they have not met Yi Qing, they are also potential enemies. As long as they are captured alive and devoured their essence, energy, not to mention the 5th level of innate external power, even the 7th level of innate external power is not a problem. As the 20% of the old eunuch's spiritual energy that had been suppressed in his body was completely consumed and refined, Yi Qing suddenly felt that his whole body became much more relaxed, and he was no longer afraid of fighting with others. Now that more than 20 days have passed, I think that my 5 masters, the 5 elders of Kong Tong, have already ordered the alchemists of the Kong Tong sect to use many top-quality materials and treasures to refine a large number of elixirs, waiting for him go back and take it. Therefore, Yi Qing decided to read through all the remaining innate secrets in the Sutra Pavilion in one breath today, and then immediately return to Kong Tong to practice. Thinking of this, he directly picked up the first secret book, Wudang's Secret Qinggung Ladder Cloud. You have read Tianzong, and you will understand Tianzong to perfection. You feel like you have discovered a bug. You feel that if you step on the left foot of the ladder vertically and step on the right foot, and the right foot on the left foot, you may be able to go straight into the sky and break out of the atmosphere, so you deduce it carefully. The deduction failed. You find that this bug cannot be realized, so you can only continue to deduce the technique of floating the ladder cloud in the air and exchanging force out of thin air. If the deduction is successful, you will gain the ability to fly hundreds of feet into the air. You find that the soaring technique and Feng Shui Yufang can cooperate with each other. Using the soaring technique, after lifting up 100 feet in the air, you can feel the power of the wind 100 feet high, and then use Feng Shui Yufang to fly. You continue to deduce and successfully integrate the essence of the soaring technique into Feng Shui Yufang, improving the practicality of Feng Shui Yufang. A memory came, which made Yi Qing feel happy. Now, Mei Feng Shui Yufang no longer had to think about whether there would be wind that day. Because within a certain range, the higher it is from the ground, the stronger the wind will be. Regardless of whether there is wind on the ground or the wind 100 feet high, there is definitely wind, and it is not small. This also means that Yi Qing can use Feng Shui Yufang at any time. In this dungeon world where no one can fly in the air yet, Yi Qing, who can fly in the wind at an altitude of 100 feet, has her life safety greatly guaranteed. Only Zhang Sanfang and Ba Siba can threaten him with their super strength. No matter how many other innate warriors there are, they cannot attack him at a height of 100 feet. After getting off to a good start, Yi Qing became more and more looking forward to the remaining few innate secrets. When he opened the second Qinggang secret, he could catch the cicada in 8 steps. You read the 8 steps to catch a cicada, and you will understand the 8 steps to catch a cicada to perfection. You are very interested in the idea of catching up with a flying cicada within 8 steps, and think you can delve deeper into this. You recall the mysteries contained in many light arts you have learned, such as the flying cat light smoke skill, the spiral 9 shadows, the snake walking and beaver flying technique, the horizontal movement, and the ladder cloud zong. You deduce it carefully and gradually fall into an epiphany. If your epiphany is successful, you will gain magical power, shrink into a spot. Supernatural powers. See magical powers again. Since I first awakened to the supernatural power of enlightenment that defies heaven, this is the second time that I have suddenly realized the magical power. The first time was of course from the Dugu 9 swords. I have suddenly realized the magical power of swordsmanship. One sword can break all kinds of magic. It's a pity that the magical power I gained this time is not a growth-promoting magical power like the first time, but a magical power with fixed power. According to the information in the memory, this magical power can be reduced to an inch. After practicing it, you can move 10 feet in 1 step. After a small success in cultivation, I will return to the soreness. After you have achieved great success in cultivation, you can take 1,000 steps forward. After you have completed your cultivation, you will be able to achieve great success. 10,000 feet is equivalent to 33 kilometers. After completing the cultivation, he can cross 33 kilometers in 1 step. For Yi Qing now, it is almost like teleportation. However, the difficulty of practicing magical powers is much higher than that of ordinary martial arts. If you want to practice it to perfection, you don't know how long you have to wait. At least before the end of this copy world, it will definitely not be possible. Although it is difficult to achieve perfection, Yi Qing feels that it is still possible to look forward to getting started or even achieving some success. After all, there are still 12 years left. Speaking of which, for those who fly in the sky, he has Feng Shui Yufang. For those who run on the ground, he shrinks to an inch. Only one who can swim in the water is missing. At that time, he will be able to combine the 3 ways of traveling quickly by sea, land and air. After putting this funny thought aside, Yi Qing continued to read the 13 swords of the innate secret art of Shenmen. You have read through the 13 swords of Shenmen, and you have fully understood the 13 swords of Shenmen. You have discovered that this sword technique is a divine method that specializes in attacking the enemy's wrists. You may be able to combine it with the acupuncture technique through the air, and start to deduce it carefully. If the deduction is successful, the power of your acupoints from the air will be greatly increased, and you can easily break the enemy's innate energy. It's okay. Although it doesn't deduce a stronger swordsmanship, it is acceptable to greatly increase the power of acupoints in the air. In the future, when facing warriors from the 1st to 3rd levels of the innate Qi realm, you only need to use the space divination point to easily defeat them without being easily discovered. After comforting herself, Yi Qing opened the next secret book Chunyang Wuji Gong. If you read Chunyang Wuji Gong, you will understand it to perfection. You find that pure Yang Wuji Kung Fu not only practices internal and external training, training the internal organs and muscles and bones and skin externally, but it can also condense pure yang qi. It seems that it can be integrated with your various unique skills. If you deduce carefully, your eternal green kung fu has absorbed part of the essence of pure yang wuji kung fu, and its quality has been improved. It has become the top martial arts yuanshan kung fu, increasing the speed of condensing the pure yang yuanshan. Your dragon elephant golden body kung fu has absorbed part of the essence of pure yang wuji kung fu, and the body refining effect has been greatly improved. Your pure yang sword chi finger has absorbed part of the essence of pure yang wuji gong, and its power has skyrocketed. A large number of memories came to Yi Qing, which made Yi Qing sigh. The pure yang wuji kung fu created by Zhang Sanfang is really powerful. It is actually very helpful for his two major internal and external kung fu techniques. Not only has the evergreen kung fu become the top martial arts yuanshan secret skill, but the power of the Chunyang sword chi finger has skyrocketed, becoming the top martial arts golden elixir level secret skill. It just so happens that my long-range attack method, the yang finger, has been perfected. Next, I can use the pure yang sword chi finger to replace it. At this moment, after reading the remaining few innate secret books of Wudang sect, Yi Qing suddenly remembered that he seemed to have stolen more than 10 innate secret books from the palace treasure house. During this period of time, I almost stayed in the Sutra Pavilion and completely forgot about them, so I simply took advantage of today to meditate on them together. Thinking of this, Yi Qing immediately left the Sutra Pavilion and headed towards the courtyard where he was staying temporarily. When Yi Qing returned to her room, she couldn't wait to take out more than 10 innate secrets from her bag. These are all ordinary innate secrets. Yi Qing has no hope of learning anything good from them. Sure enough, after reading 8 books of innate secrets in a row, they only slightly improved many of Yi's martial arts. But when he read the 9th book of Qingfeng sword technique, the innate secret skill, a surprise came unexpectedly. You read Qingfeng sword technique, and you understand it perfectly. You feel that there is still room for improvement in Qingfeng swordsmanship, so start to deduce it carefully. If the deduction is successful, you will obtain the storm sword technique. With one sword strike, the storm will fall. You look at the secret of the storm sword technique, thoughtfully, and find that it has a certain connection with Feng Shu Yufeng's control of the wind, so you continue to deduce it. The deduction is successful, you have mastered the true meaning of the wind. A memory came through, making Yi Qing extremely happy. The true meaning of wind, this is the second true hall he obtained after the true meaning of power. The original true meaning of power could instantly double his strength within a quarter of an hour without any side effects. But now the true meaning of the wind has not only improved his control over the power of the wind a lot, but also allows him to fly faster and with less effort when using Feng Shu Yufeng in the sky. It also allows him to double his running or moving speed on the ground within a quarter of an hour, without any side effects. Whether you are on the road or in battle, the true meaning of wind and the true meaning of power are both things that can turn the tide of the battle at critical moments. With joy, Yi Qing continued to open the next secret book, Beiyun Sword Technique. You have read through Beiyun Sword Art, and you have understood it perfectly. You feel that there is still room for improvement in Beiyun's swordsmanship, so start to deduce it carefully. The deduction is successful, you have obtained the cloud-turning sword technique, and can turn the clouds and rain with one sword. You look at the profound meaning of Fanyan sword technique, think deeply, and find that it has a certain connection with the Wudang sect's Ruyun sword technique and cloud-piercing palm technique, and the Kong Tong sect's Lingyun sword technique and Feiyun kick technique. Let's continue the deduction. The deduction is successful, you have grasped the true meaning of the cloud. Looking at the true meaning of the wind and the true meaning of the clouds that you have mastered, you suddenly remember the most important principle in martial arts. The wind has no form, the clouds are impermanent, the wind and clouds combine, and the Maha is immeasurable. You are very excited and try to deduce the method of Maha infinite. You cannot understand the Dharma, and your deduction fails. A memory came, making Yi Qing both excited and regretful. What was exciting was that he actually understood a true meaning once again, the meaning of Yun. This true meaning not only allows him to not be rigid when making moves, but also to jump out of the fixed framework of various martial arts and express himself freely, laying a solid foundation for the path of a martial arts master. After stimulating the true power of the cloud, it can also gather cloud energy to form cloud and mist, covering a 10-mile radius, and can also weaken the enemy's mental power to detect. It can be said to be an excellent counterattack and escape skill. Unfortunately, due to his lack of understanding of Buddhism, he was once again unable to deduce the legendary method of combining wind and clouds, which can increase one's own strength up to 10 times. If his current strength could suddenly increase tenfold, even if his mental strength was far inferior to that of Pasiba, he would still be able to defeat Pasiba by 10 times at a time. It seems that after I finish taking the heavenly materials and earthly treasures I obtained this time and my cultivation level increases greatly, if I have time, I can go to the Shaolin Temple. Not to mention the various Buddhist scriptures there, the various Shaolin secrets are all worth a visit. As for whether the Shaolin Temple would agree, Yi Qing said that with his future force, the Shaolin Temple would have no room to refuse. When the time comes, I will promise that I will never spread the secret knowledge of Shaolin Temple to outsiders, and will only read it for myself, and give some benefits, such as giving the secret knowledge of Tantric Buddhism to Shaolin Temple. Shaolin Temple will probably be eager for Yi Qing to go to the Sutra Library of Shaolin Temple to read. After all, there are 2 martial arts golden elixir level exercises in the secret knowledge of Tantric Buddhism. How can the Shaolin Temple not be jealous? After silently keeping this idea in mind, Yi Qing continued BECF to look through the remaining books on innate secrets. Maybe his luck has run out, or maybe the quality of the few remaining innate secrets is really not that good, and they cannot be linked with other secrets he has read. After his heaven-defying understanding was activated, he did not deduce anything good. It only slightly increases the power of some martial arts such as swordsmanship and palm skills, which is better than nothing. At this moment, after reading all the exercises, Yi Qing wanted to talk to Zhang Sanfang again and tell him what he knew about Tai Chi and Tai Chi sword theories in his previous life, so that he could create his own Tai Chi yin and yang way as soon as possible. However, Zhang Sanfang had already entered seclusion, so he didn't want to disturb him anymore. He directly said goodbye to Song Yuanchao, the leader of the 7 heroes of Wudang, and left. Originally, Song Yuanchao arranged horses for Yi Qing, but he refused in order to perfect the Feishu Qingyan Kung Fu as soon as possible. Anyway, his evergreen Kung Fu, after absorbing the advantages of the 9 Yang Divine Kung Fu, creates new innate true energy very quickly. Without doing anything to others and only using light Kung Fu, he can almost maintain a balance between income and expenditure. Besides, I have done this before in Dadu, and now I have returned to the Kong Tong sect and continued to use Qigong on my way. It can be regarded as a new experience. However, in just 1 day and 1 night, Yi Qing successfully returned to the Kong Tong sect, much faster than riding a horse. The only drawback is that relying on Qigong to travel, it must be much more tiring than riding a horse. But it doesn't matter. I'm a little tired from all my life, but at least my proficiency in Feishu Light Smoke Kung Fu has improved a lot. I guess it won't take long before I can practice it to perfection. At that time, you can try to practice Fengshu Yufeng and Shuti Chengenchun magical powers. For now, let's improve our cultivation first. Just in time, when Yi Qing returned to Kong Tong sect and met his 5 masters. The 5 elders of Kong Tong told him that the alchemy masters in the sect had used the large amounts of heavenly materials and earthly treasures brought back over 100 years to refine many top-level elixirs to assist the innate warriors in their practice. This is enough for him to practice for a long time. However, those 1,000-year-old treasures of heaven, materials and earth are very precious. Because we have not collected enough auxiliary medicines, we cannot refine the Kong Tong Guiyuan pill with better effect for the time being. There is no way. The last time I collected auxiliary medicines, I have almost bought all the auxiliary medicine channels in the Kong Tong sect, and I have to go further to buy them. The Kong Tong sect has lived a monotonous but very happy life since Yi Qing returned here from Wudang Mountain. Because I can see my cultivation and strength every day, and it is so exciting to continue to improve. Medicinal diet, medicated baths, elixirs and other external forces to assist practice are all used up every day. However, in just 1 month, his cultivation level has improved by leaps and bounds. From the early stage of the 3rd innate level, he condensed the eternal green Gang Qi in one fell swoop and entered the 4th level of innate true Gang realm. Afterwards, it took about 4 months to raise the level of cultivation to the 5th level of innateness. Then it took 7 months to break through to the 6th level of Shantian. After possessing enough top-notch heavenly materials and earthly treasures, in just 1 year, his cultivation level increased from the middle stage of the 3rd level of innateness to the early stage of the 6th level of innateness. Without exerting any unique power under normal conditions, it is already comparable to the early stage of the 9th level of Shantian. I don't know how much more people can spread this kind of progress. The greatest contribution to his breakthrough in cultivation so quickly was the 400 ginseng, polygonum multiflorum and other natural treasures that he stole back from the palace treasure house. They were almost consumed by him alone. Got it. The remaining treasures of heaven, materials and earth that are more than 100 years old in the Kong Tong sect were all brought back by the 5 elders of Kong Tong and the inner disciples. The second is its everlasting skill. After washing away the advantages of many unique skills, it has already become the top martial arts soul skill. The efficiency of refining pills is really too fast. This can only be known by comparing the 5 elders of Kong Tong. During this year, they were also open to taking top-level elixirs, but the number of elixirs taken by the 5 of them together, corresponding to the century-old treasures of heaven and earth, was only 100. The 5 people added together are only equivalent to a quarter of the heavenly materials and earthly treasures consumed by Yi Qing. And what the 5 of them are now practicing is the top innate secret art created by Kong Tong's founder Mu Lingxi, the Wood Spirit Evergreen technique. It can be seen from this that the quality of the skills is 2 major differences between the Eternal Evergreen skill and the Wood Spirit Evergreen skill. The effect of the former in refining top elixirs is much higher than that of the latter. This also makes the 5 elders of Kong Tong spend a year and have just broken through to the 2nd level of innateness. The last reason for Yi Qing's rapid progress in cultivation is that during this year, he only practiced internal strength and no longer practiced external strength. He only cultivated mental strength as well. But cultivating mental power at the same time only consumes time, not resources. Therefore, all the century-old ginseng and other natural and earthly treasures Yi Qing consumed were used to improve her internal strength. If you practice both external skills and internal skills, your internal skills can only break through to the 5th level of innate strength at most, and will never reach the level of innate outflow. In addition to her rapid progress in cultivation, Yi Qing's improvement in various martial arts and her own strength is also no less impressive. The 9 swords of Dugu, which Yi Qing likes the most, has already been cultivated to great perfection, and is even close to perfection. According to his estimate, in as little as 3 months or as much as half a year, he will be able to practice to perfection and condense the sword intent of Dugu 9 swords. When the time comes, you will be able to practice the growth-promoting magical power of swordsmanship and defeat all kinds of magic with one sword. Even if it is not perfect now, the power of the Ducheng level Dugu 9 swords is far beyond that of ordinary 9th level innate experts. That's right, I'm talking about Zhang Sanfeng and Basaba. It has been many years since they broke through to the peak realm of the 9th level of Shantian. They are only 1 step away from the golden elixir realm of martial arts. What is missing is only their martial arts perception. Their strength is naturally not comparable to that of ordinary 9th level innate experts. If it weren't for the mental strength, which was still far behind, Yi Qing felt that there would be no problem in using the Dugu 9 swords at the Dacheng level to challenge Pa Siba and Zhang Sanfeng in a duel. Then came the Qinggong, flying catkins and light smoke kung fu, which was also successfully practiced, almost twice as fast as a year ago when the flying catkins and light smoke kung fu was completed. No wonder that in the battle with the old eunuch, the descendant of Sunflower, in the palace treasury, when the 2 were far apart, they were able to suppress each other with the perfect level 1 yang finger. Once the opponent gets close to you, you will really be beaten without the ability to fight back. If the other party hadn't wanted to capture him alive at that time, he would never have been able to trick the other party. Even if he showed all his methods, he could only force the other party to retreat. After completing the practice of Feishu Qingyangong, Yi Qing naturally did not forget the practice of shrinking the earth into an inch and Feng Shu Yufeng. But shrinking the ground into an inch is a magical power that is too difficult to practice. He has not yet started, and it is estimated that he will have to practice hard for another year before he can master it. Feng Shu Yufeng, on the other hand, is not a supernatural power, but is somewhere between martial arts and supernatural powers. It may still be difficult for other people to successfully cultivate it, but for Yi Qing, there is no problem. In this nearly 1 year, I soon started to practice cultivation, and I also directly completed the cultivation to a small level. I can fly at an altitude of 100 feet for a quarter of an hour. That's right, if he can only fly for a quarter of an hour, all his huge innate energy will be exhausted. This is because he has achieved some success in cultivation and can consume less innate chi to better control the power of the wind. If you have just started practicing, the consumption of controlling the wind will be greater, and you can only sustain it for half a quarter of an hour at most. Although the time is a little shorter, the feeling of feng shui yufeng flying is quite refreshing, which is far beyond what he can compare with when performing qigong on the ground. No wonder the human beings on the planet Earth in their previous lives were all eager to fly freely. Moreover, feng shui yufeng's speed is not slow either. It is comparable to the Dacheng level flying catkin's light smoke skill. If it encounters a windy day, it is comparable to the perfect level flying catkin's green smoke skill. If the environment on the ground is not a plain but a place with complex terrain such as mountains and ridges, if you use the flying cat light smoke skill on the ground, even if you break your legs, you still won't be able to catch up with feng shui yufeng. For example, it may only take 5 minutes for Yi Qing to fly from the peak where the Kong Tong sect is located to another distant peak in the wind, but if he uses the Fei Shu light smoke skill and runs on the ground, it may take several minutes, twice the time. As the saying goes, Wangshan is a horse racing to death, is not just talk. In addition to swordsmanship and qigong, Yi Qing has also made great achievements in the advanced long-range method of Yiyang finger, that is, Chunyang sword chi finger. He has mastered this martial art's golden elixir secret skill, and the power it exerts can be said to be second only to the Dugu 9 swords at the Dacheng level, which is enough to rival ordinary 9th level peak Shantian experts. When Yi Qing practiced hard in the Kong Tong sect, his cultivation level reached breakthroughs one after another, and his strength skyrocketed. On the other side, far away in the Ruyang prince's mansion in Dadu, Wong Ba met his father, the prince of Ruyang, who had just left the court. Father, it has been a year since Wudang Zhang Sanfang and the head of the Kong Tong sect Yi Qing led people from all over the world to cause turmoil in the imperial city and palace. I wonder when your majesty will be willing to send troops to attack the Wudang sect and the Kong Tong sect. Dongpai. Hearing his son Wong Bao's question, King Ruyang showed a hint of embarrassment on his face. Wong my father returned to Dadu from the front line this time, and I have already mentioned this matter to his majesty for you. But his majesty rejected the proposal to become a father because he could not find the real murderer. So, as a father, I can't help you in this matter. Hearing this, Wong Bao couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, and then said angrily, "Can't find the real culprit? How is it possible that we can't find the real culprit? It's okay that everyone else is dressed in black and masked. At least Zhang Sanfang, but in front of most everyone, he invited the national master to fight with the national master. How could he not find the real murderer? Woolen cloth. I think your majesty is just bullying the weak and shying away from the strong, and he doesn't dare to cause trouble to the elder. After all, Zhang Sanfang is so powerful that if he risked his life to kill someone, not even the imperial master would be able to stop him." As soon as these words came out, King Ruyang immediately scolded, "Shut up. Don't make any unreasonable comments about his majesty. Especially after leaving our palace, you must not say a word to his majesty. Your father, I, am the only king of the opposite because of my outstanding military exploits, so I am envied by others. Last time when Dadu was robbed, our Ruyang palace was the only one that was not robbed. What do you want the other princes and his majesty to think? So, there are a lot of people who are jealous of our Ruyang prince's mansion now. That is to say, I am good at fighting. Your majesty has not yet been able to find a person who can replace me. Otherwise, my position as king of Ruyang will not be stable." When Wong Bao heard this, his expression froze, he calmed down a little, and then said, "Okay, I will not mention your majesty's ignoring Zhang Sanfang. But what about the leader of the Kong Tong sect, Yi Qing? He was definitely the one who participated in what happened that night. I heard that a 7th level innate true liquid realm expert died in the palace treasure house. He must have killed him. Father, you also know the strength of Mr. Zanming and Mr. Zanming, but they could not defeat him together in Wudang Mountain before. And according to Mr. He Biwing, they also used the Zanming forbidden technique, which greatly improved their strength, but they still couldn't beat them. In order to cover the safe retreat of Hebawang and Urchin, Mr. Luzhonk even risked his life to hold him back. This is what Urchin saw with his own eyes. Not long after, I received the news that Mr. Luzhonk died at the hands of Yi Qing, the head of the Kong Tong sect. Therefore, I can conclude that if there is anyone in this world who can single-handedly kill a 7-level innate true liquid realm expert, apart from the Imperial Master and Zhang Sanfang, it must be Yi Qing, the head of the Kong Tong sect. Quote. King Ruyang shook his head. Your Majesty, I have already said this. But now the war ahead is tense. Within the territory of Dayuan, sects such as the White Lotus sect, Wusheng sect, and Mingzhou have rebelled one after another, deceiving the people and turning against us, Dayuan. Compared to the disaster in Dadu a year ago, where each family only lost some valuable medicinal materials, it is more important to suppress these rebellious rebels who are digging for the foundation of the Great Yuan. Therefore, His Majesty and others are opposed to mobilizing a large army to besiege the Kong Tong faction. At most, my father is allowed to mobilize the immediate soldiers to cooperate with my father's actions. But for the strong men in the martial arts world, especially the head of the Kong Tong sect who single-handedly slaughtered the guards of the Imperial City at the North City Gate, the local soldiers in Kong Tong territory are not enough to fill his teeth. Quote. So, let's take a long-term approach to this matter. Either you recruit martial arts masters to deal with the leader of the Kong Tong sect, or you can wait for the frontline army to crush the rebels and then go to siege Kong Tong Mountain. After King Ruyang finished speaking, Wong Ba suddenly felt desperate and summoned martial arts masters. How many strong men must be summoned to deal with Yi Qing? Waiting for the frontline army to defeat the rebels. It's impossible to wait. It's not like I don't know the plot. I can even say that if I hadn't been randomly assigned to the identity of Wong Ba and become a noble person in Yuanting, I'm afraid I would be a member of the anti-Yuan army now, okay. Seemingly feeling Wong Bao's despair, King Ruyang thought for a moment and continued, actually, if you want to surround Kong Tong Mountain and seek revenge on Yi Qing, it is not impossible. Wong Bao suddenly became energetic and asked quickly, Father, what else can you do? King Ruyang replied, look for the national master. As long as you can convince the Imperial Preceptor to take action against the Kong Tong faction, Your Majesty will not dare to offend the Imperial Preceptor and will definitely not refuse the Imperial Preceptor's request. Wong Bao was overjoyed, but then showed a look of disappointment. Urchin heard that the Imperial Master was seriously injured in the battle with Zhang Sanfang. As soon as he returned to the palace, he announced that he would be in seclusion and not see anyone for the time being. It's been a year now, and I still haven't left the quarantine. How long will it take to wait? King Ruyang said. Don't worry, it shouldn't take long. In addition to your business, I also want to ask the National Preceptor to send more tantric masters to escort the generals on the front line and guard against enemy assassinations. For some reason, in the past year, General Daewon on the frontline battlefield has often been assassinated by the enemy's martial arts masters. I have many monks protecting me, so don't worry, other generals can't. So, I specifically asked His Majesty for news about the Imperial Advisor. Your Majesty told me that in as little as half a month or as long as 1 month, the Imperial Guard will be able to leave the customs. You just need to wait patiently. Wong Bao said bitterly. That's all we have to do, let Yi Qing live a little longer. If it hadn't been for this person, I wouldn't have escaped in embarrassment on Wudang Mountain, and even risked the lives of Mr. Luzhonk and the 13th Mongolian Wing. Perhaps we have successfully blackmailed Zhang Sanfang and used it for Yuanting and our Ruyang Palace. The disaster in Dadu a year ago would never have happened. King Ruyang nodded. According to your statement, Yi Qing, the head of the Kong Tong sect, is indeed a serious concern of our Yuanting and should be killed. My lord, just go ahead and do it. My father is responsible for everything in the court and on the front line. Everything in the world will be left to you, my lord. When you can really convince the Imperial Guard and want to surround the Kong Tong sect with troops, you will also bring many of the innate strong men in our house, lest Yi Qing then carry out a beheading operation, which would be detrimental to you. Wong Bao was overjoyed and immediately knelt down on one knee and said, Thank you so much, father, for your support. King Ruyang patted Wong Bao on the shoulder and left with a satisfied look, leaving Wong Bao alone in the study and excited. Chapter 91. After more than half a month, Yuanting Imperial Master Ba Siba finally came out of seclusion. After learning the news, Wong Ba immediately asked his father, King Ruyang, to go to the palace to meet Emperor Yuan Shun. After begging for several days, he was given the opportunity to visit Pasiba. Afterwards, Wong Ba didn't hesitate at all, and immediately entered the palace and went straight to the National Preceptor's Hall where Ba Siba was. At this moment, Ba Siba looked at the young man in front of him who was respectfully bowing to him, and said, "Are you Wong Bao, the little prince of Ruyang Palace? You have already cultivated to the second level of Shantian at such a young age, so you are indeed a talent. I heard that you asked your father, King Ruyang, to beg the emperor for several days before he got the chance to visit me. Tell me, what do you want to do after you go to all the trouble to meet me?" Wong Bao said respectfully, "I would like to report to the Imperial Master that I want to summon an army of 100,000 to take revenge. Not only to avenge myself, but also to avenge Mr. Lu Zhonk, one of the two elders of Xuanming, and even more to avenge the new generation of Mongolian 13 chapters who were killed in Wudang Mountain. In addition, there is also the need to avenge the unknown strong man who died in the palace treasure house." After hearing the previous words, Ba Siba was not moved at all. Although it was their first meeting, he still knew Wong Bao somewhat. When Wong Bao reported to the emperor that he wanted to form a new generation of the 13 Mongolian wings, it was only with his approval that they could be formed. It was precisely because of this that he sent people to collect information about Wong Bao, and he also knew that Wong Bao not only failed to achieve his purpose of threatening Zhang Sanfeng on the day of Zhang Sanfeng's 100th birthday in Wudang Mountain, but suffered heavy losses. But when Wong Bao finished his last sentence, Ba Siba could no longer remain indifferent. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Oh, what you're saying is that you know who the real culprit was who killed eunuch Kui in the palace." "I am not afraid of Pasiba asking, but I am afraid that Pasiba is not interested in what I say." At this moment, after hearing Pasiba's question, Wong Bao immediately replied, "I am reporting to the Imperial Master. Although I didn't witness what happened in the palace treasure house that night, I know that person must be the leader of the Kong Tong sect, Yi Qing." After thinking about it for a while, Ba Siba said, "Is it the Yi Qing who killed Lu Zhonk on Wudang Mountain and assisted Zhang Sanfeng in killing the 13th Mongolian wing?" Wong Bao said with a look of hatred, "Yes, it's him." Evidence. Ba Siba was noncommittal and asked Wong Bao to provide evidence directly. Although he may not care about a mere leader of the Kong Tong sect, he can't just believe what others say. What if others are lying to him? Wouldn't this be rubbing his face on the ground? Wong Bao explained, "The most intuitive evidence is this person's strength. Your Majesty the National Preceptor may not know. When Yi Qing fought on Wudang Mountain with Mr. Ku's strength. Later, Mr. Lu Zhonk died at the hands of Yi Qing. It seems that the two gentlemen separated, their strength was greatly reduced, and he was killed by Yi Qing. But in fact, before the two gentlemen separated, they had already used the Master's Gate restriction technique to forcibly upgrade their cultivation level by one level within a certain period of time, from the 5th level of innate peak to the 6th level of peak. In this way, even after the two gentlemen separate, their individual strength will not be much worse than the two before joining forces. But just after the two separated for a few seconds, Mr. Lu Zhonk was injured by Yi Qing, and he shouted out that Yi Qing was hiding his strength, and asked his junior brother Mr. He Biwing to take the junior and leave quickly. The final result, the Imperial Master also knows, Mr. Lu Zhonk died at the hands of Yi Qing. From this junior can conclude that Yi Qing's strength is probably not an ordinary 7th level innate, but at least the peak of the 7th level innate, or even the 8th level innate. In addition, this junior also knows that Yi Qing, the most powerful martial arts, is not the 7-injury fist of the Kong Tong sect, but the Yiyang finger of the Duan clan of Dali. According to what Mr. Hebuang said personally, Yi Qing's Yiyang finger may have been cultivated to the 1st level of perfection, so it can explode with such powerful strength. After listening to Wong Bao's explanation, Ba Siba's eyes turned cold and he thought to himself, at least with the peak of the 7th level of innate strength and the perfect level of one yang finger, there is indeed a chance to kill eunuch Kui. Is it really this fool who stole all the treasures of heaven and earth that are more than 100 years old in the palace treasure house, so that I can only rely on myself to heal my injuries, and it took a full year to recover from my injuries? As well as the Tantric sect and the Vajra sect, could it be that he was also responsible for it? If so, then his growth rate is too fast. But no matter what, if such a young talent is born in the Han martial arts world, we can't keep him. Thinking of this, Ba Siba suddenly made a decision in his heart. Wong Bao, you want me to support you in seeking revenge against Yi Qing, and I agree. However, the battle on the front line is indeed very tight. Forget about 100,000 troops. I will allocate up to 30,000 troops for you, and then persuade the emperor to give you 20,000 imperial city guards together, making up an army of 50,000. At the same time, I have flying pigeons to pass the message, asking the 4 great Dharma kings of Tantric Buddhism to come and cooperate with you. There is also a 7th-level congenital flower father-in-law in the palace who will also help you. And you'd better bring all the innate combat power of your Ruyang prince's mansion with you to ensure that this encirclement and suppression operation is foolproof. When Wong Bao heard this, he was both surprised and worried. Master, if you send so many masters, will you pay too much attention to Yi Qing? Ba Siba snorted softly. What do you know? Facing such a young genius, you will never give the opponent any chance to breathe. You must kill him with one strike. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles. If I hadn't already wasted a year recovering from my injuries and didn't want to waste my time on such trivial matters, I wouldn't even mind going there myself. Now, I need to remind you that I have given you an army of 50,000 and sent so many experts to help you. Even if anyone else from the Kong Tong sect escapes, Yi Qing, the head of the Kong Tong sect, cannot be allowed to escape. Quote, if you can't do it, either you will die on the spot, or you will come to see me. Hearing Ba Siba's words that seemed to be a reminder but were actually a warning, Wong Bao suddenly felt a chill in his heart and immediately raised the importance of killing Yi Qing to the highest level. He knew that he had no way out now. Either die in the Kong Tong faction or kill Yi Qing, there is no third option. Even if he really didn't die in the battle, and if he didn't kill Yi Qing, he might still be dead. National Preceptor Pasiba is afraid that he will let Yuanting and Tantric sect pursue him at all costs, and may even hunt him down himself. For example, the 7th-level congenital Wudang from the Imperial family mentioned by the Imperial Preceptor may not only accompany the army to defend the battle, but also may have the intention of supervising himself. Therefore, you must try your best to do this. However, having said that, although I wanted to kill Yi Qing, I never wanted to take my own life. Because I am a pioneer from Blue Star and not a real native of this dungeon world, I have to die for Yuanting. I am standing on the opposite side of the plot protagonist and others, and have gone all the way to the dark side on the road of the villain. In addition to the issue of identity, I also want to use various means to accomplish some major things, so as to obtain better dungeon evaluations. If he was really willing to sacrifice his life simply to avenge Yi Qing, why would he ask the National Preceptor for 100,000 troops? Can't you just take all the innate masters from Ruyang Palace and sneak attack Yi Qing? At worst, if you succeed, you will live, if you fail, you will die. Now that the National Master Pasiba does not leave him a way out, he will naturally not obey. When the time comes, it will be a success and both parties will be happy. If he really fails, it is impossible for him to die. He will definitely hide his name and flee to a foreign country, or directly go to sea to survive until the remaining 11 years of the survival mission are over. Although by doing this, his dungeon evaluation may be a little low, but at least he can get some point rewards. It is better to bring back some of his own strength than to die midway. It's better to get nothing. Of course, thinking about a way out for yourself should not be shown in front of the National Master. He knew that this terrifying National Master had created his own unique spiritual power, which could easily confuse people's minds and find out the other person's true thoughts. Thinking of this, Wong Bao immediately expressed excitement and fanaticism and promised, "Don't worry, National Master, there are 50,000 troops and so many innate masters to help. If you still can't solve the Kong Tong sect and its leader Yi Qing, please come and see me in Wangquan." Seeing this, Ba Siba nodded secretly, and did not use the spiritual method of changing the sky and striking the earth to find out Wong Bao's true thoughts. He felt it was unnecessary. This Wong Bao tried his best to seek help from himself. If he gave him a chance to kill Yi Qing, he would definitely not have second thoughts. If it were the real Wong Bao, this might indeed be the case. It's a pity that the person in front of him is just a pioneer who has been replaced by Wong Ba. He will leave this dungeon world in another 12 years and will not fully implement his will. Okay, you go down and make arrangements. Ba Siba waved his hand and asked Wong Ba to leave, and then went to Emperor Yuanshan to arrange the affairs of the 50,000 troops and the father-in-law Hua, who was personally protecting Emperor Yuanshan. In the study room of Prince Ruyong's mansion, Wong Ba told Prince Ruyong everything that happened after he met the national preceptor Pasiba today. Then he probed. Father, the Imperial Master does not leave a way for my son to retreat. What do you think my son should do? King Ruyong looked at Wong Ba, with a flash of anger on his face. Prince, what do you mean by this? Are you greedy for life and afraid of death? Wong Ba pretended to look at King Ruyong seriously. Father, if my son is really greedy for life and afraid of death, there is no need to go to Yiqing for revenge this time. My son is thinking that if this revenge fails, he will have other opportunities for revenge if he survives, but if he dies, there will be nothing. Besides, the Imperial Master decided the future life and death of my son and ministers with just one word today. He might not be able to decide the future life and death of my father with just one word in the future. The Imperial Master is too overbearing. I just want to leave a way out for my father and son, and for everyone in the Ruyong Palace. After hearing this, King Ruyong suddenly fell silent. Perhaps it was the words that, one day may not determine the future life and death of my father with just one word, that touched him. After thinking for a while, King Ruyong replied, Your Majesty, the mission of encircling Kong Tong and killing Yiqing this time is best if it succeeds. If it really fails, just run away for your life and never do it again. Go back to Ruyong Prince's mansion. Wong Ba felt a little ashamed when he heard this. Father, where are you? King Ruyong laughed and said, Don't worry, as long as there is no one who can replace me in the court, even the Imperial Master will not want me to die. After all, if one general is incompetent and the 3 armies are exhausted, the National Master must understand. As for your sister, I am afraid that I will have to arrange her escape as soon as possible. Only in this way will we have no worries at all. Wong Ba praised. Father is wise. 7 days passed in a flash. Wong Ba, who became the commander-in-chief of the Kong Tong faction's army for this expedition, finally made preparations and left Dadu under the cover of night with 20,000 Imperial city guards and a large number of innate masters. Not only that, the Yuanting army, which was fighting against the Ming cult, the White Lotus cult, and the Wusheng cult on the front line, each mobilized a team of 10,000 soldiers to secretly advance towards the Kong Tong sect under the cover of night. Under Wong Bao's order, the 4 armies marched at night and rested in the wild mountains and old forests during the day to recharge their batteries and strictly abide by the regulations. In this way, we can ensure that this action plan will not leak out, nor will it arouse the vigilance of the Kong Tong sect and Yiqing, causing them to run away in advance. Moreover, in order to reduce the chance of being noticed, the 4th Army never passed through any city, town, or even village. If you really can't hide from the village, then rush in and massacre the village, leaving no one alive, in case there are spies from the Ming cult and other forces among them. I have to say that in order to prevent the news from being exposed, Wong Bao's methods were quite ruthless, but they were indeed very effective. From the time the 4 armies set out until they entered Pingliang County, no news was revealed. The only drawback is that it took a long time, and it took a full month to travel. Under normal circumstances, if the 4-pronged army marches in a hurry, it will take less than 10 days at most to reach the boundary of Pingliang County. Now it took a whole month, more than 3 times the normal time. This shows how far Yuanting's 4-pronged army went to hide their own information. That is to say, Wong Ba was well prepared before setting off, and after occasionally passing through small mountain villages to massacre and plunder, he replenished a large amount of food. Otherwise, the 4-pronged army would not be able to survive for so long. Fortunately, they had now reached the boundary of Pingliang County and no longer had to hide themselves. They immediately gathered together and galloped towards Kong Tong Mountain. But in just 1 hour, 50,000 troops arrived at the foot of Kong Tong Mountain. The huge movement immediately alerted the inner disciples of the 4th level of Haodian who were guarding the mountain gate. Taking advantage of the terrain and the fact that they had swallowed a lot of snake gall bladders, the 2 disciples guarding the mountain had greatly improved their eyesight. They could easily see the huge crowds of people at the foot of the mountain in the distance. Even though they still can't see who is at the foot of the mountain, these two inner disciples instinctively feel that something is wrong. After looking at each other for a while, one of the two people stayed and continued to observe, while the other quickly ran to the inside of the Kong Tong sect to report the news to the inner sect elder in the sect. After hearing this, the elder did not dare to hesitate. Immediately rushed to the courtyard where Yi Qing was as fast as possible and saw Yi Qing, who was practicing martial arts, inner sect elder Yang Zhen, meet the leader. Yi Qing looked at Yang Zhen, who was out of breath, put down the green sword in his hand, and asked, "Elder Yang, why are you so anxious to see me?" Yang Zhen said directly, "Master, what's wrong?" The two inner disciples who were guarding the mountain gate just now discovered that a large number of suspicious people, at least tens of thousands of people, appeared at the foot of Kong Tong Mountain, and they are on top. It's just that because the distance is too far, they can only tell that the person is a human. The specific situation of the other person is not yet clear. As soon as these words came out, Yi Qing's expression became serious. Tens of thousands of people. It looks really suspicious. Let me go to the mountain gate and see for myself. After saying that, he suddenly disappeared in front of Yang Sha. However, in just a short time, Yi Qing had already arrived at the mountain gate. Sure enough, he saw a large number of figures at the foot of the distant mountain, heading towards the direction of the Kong Tong sect. Compared with the two inner disciples BB guarding the mountain gate, Yi Qing's eyesight is stronger. It was easy to see the people at the foot of the mountain, each wearing Yuanting armor and holding weapons. It was obvious that they were all soldiers belonging to Yuanting. Moreover, their number was not just tens of thousands as Elder Yang Zhen said, but tens of thousands. He couldn't count the exact number at the moment. What made him very confused was why these tens of thousands of Yuanting troops suddenly came to Kong Tong Mountain and rushed towards their Kong Tong faction. Could it be that most of the treasure thefts had been exposed? That shouldn't be the case. Aren't they hiding well? Only Zhang Sanfang showed up openly. Besides, even if it was exposed, it would have been exposed a long time ago. Why did Yuanting send an army to liquidate it after more than a year had passed? What exactly is going on? Just when Yi Qing was confused, he suddenly saw a group of basic people appearing behind Yuanting's army. The leader is very familiar. He is the pioneer Wong Ba who narrowly escaped with his life on Wudang Mountain. There are many guards beside Wong Ba, some of whom are acquaintances, such as the 8 heroes of the arrow, etc., and there are also many unknown people. After seeing this scene, Yi Qing suddenly realized that all this was probably Wong Bao's fault. As the opponent, if you want to get a very high dungeon evaluation, you will obviously not miss the plan to borrow power from Yuanting to eliminate the hostile pioneers. It just so happened that I was on Wudang Mountain, and not only destroyed his conspiracy, but also killed Lu Zhonk, and even almost killed him. It would be a strange thing if he didn't come back with revenge and gave up. However, he still couldn't figure out why the other party came to take revenge after so long after the Wudang Mountain and Dadu treasure theft incidents. Fortunately, this is not an important thing. If you can't think of it, just forget about it. Just know that the person coming from the other side is not good. Thinking of this, Yi Qing said to the disciples beside him, "Go and tell the 5 supreme elders that tens of thousands of Yuanting troops are coming. Quickly summon everyone from the Kong Tong sect to prepare for the battle." Disciple, take your orders. This person responded and immediately went inside the Kong Tong sect. About a quarter of an hour later, the 5 elders of Kong Tong led thousands of people to the mountain gate. Disciple, how is the situation now? After hearing Guan Neng's question, Yi Qing replied, "The Yuanting army is too numerous and the mountain road is rugged. It will take at least 2 hours to reach us. We still have time to prepare." After Yi Qing replied, he turned around and looked at all the disciples and elders of the Kong Tong sect. Most of them have faces full of worry, anxiety, and even fear. After all, this is an army of tens of thousands, and they only have 1,000 people. How can they be the enemy's opponent? When the enemy arrives at the mountain gate and begins to attack, their lives may not be saved. Many former lay disciples are even more agitated. After all, they all pay money to learn skills, and their feelings for the Kong Tong sect are not very deep, far less than those who were raised by the Kong Tong sect in the mountain gate since childhood. Fortunately, in the past 10 years or so, the Kong Tong sect's investment in them has far exceeded the money they paid, making their identification with the Kong Tong sect far more than 10 years after their death. Although people were restless, no one said anything about running away or surrendering. Only a small number of people showed perseverance in their eyes, without much worry or fear. It seemed that they were willing to live and die with the Kong Tong sect. Finally, Yi Qing spoke. This time, the Yuanting army quietly surrounded our Kong Tong sect and cut off our retreat. This is actually the biggest disaster that the Kong Tong sect has encountered since its establishment. I know that many of you are worried and scared, don't want to die, and have even thought about running away or surrendering. It doesn't matter, this is human nature, I can understand it, and I won't blame anyone. Hearing Yi Qing say this, many disciples lowered their heads in shame. I'm not afraid to tell you here that the Yuanting army came to Kong Tong this time just for me, because they felt that I was too much of a threat, so they wanted to get rid of me. You are just passing by, and you are also implicated by me. But what I want to say is, with these tens of thousands of troops, they want to kill me. They can't do it at all. I say this not because I am conceited, but because I really have this strength. I know most of you won't believe it, but the facts will tell you the answer. Now, I only ask one thing from you. If I am defeated or die, no matter what decision you make, such as escaping or even surrendering, I can understand it. Because many of you have your own families, there is no need to live and die with Kong Tong. But before that, I hope you will remember the identity of the disciples and elders of the Kong Tong sect, and you must do your best to protect our common home. Can you do it? Hearing Yi Qing's strong confidence in just a few words, all the disciples and elders present were lifted up. Moreover, Yi Qing did not force them to die for the Kong Tong faction, which made many people feel even more guilty. In this guilty mood, the only thing they can do in return for the leader Yi Qing is to protect the Kong Tong sect with all their lives and never give up resistance before the leader is defeated or dead. So, they all responded loudly, "Sir, we can do it." Yi Qing nodded. Very good, now everyone starts to move. People who are good at swordsmanship and other weapons will cut down trees, make them into rolling logs, and drag them here. People who are good at fists and kicks will look for stones the size of their heads and bring them here. If they can't find them, they will work together to break the large stones nearby into stones the size of their heads and move them here. At the beginning, Mu Lingxi, the founder of the Kong Tong sect, chose to place the mountain gate of the Kong Tong sect here because it is easy to defend and difficult to attack, and this is the only way up the mountain. The other three sides are all cliffs, which are simply not accessible to ordinary people. So, as long as we defend this place, the Yuanting army cannot attack and threaten everyone's lives. Leave it to me to repel the Yuanting army and resolve the crisis of the Kong Tong faction. Everyone, do you understand? Everyone replied, understood. As Yi Qing said, start taking action, many disciples and elders here began to move. Soon, only Yi Qing and the 5 elders of Kong Tong were left at the mountain gate. The 5 elders of Kong Tong looked at Yi Qing and said, "Disciple, you should not have made the guess that Yuanting's army was specifically targeting you just now. Didn't this make many people complain in their hearts that you are the master?" Quote, you should encourage everyone more, give everyone confidence, unite everyone's strength, and bring everyone's strength together, so that we can persist longer and wait for assistance from other forces. Instead of saying depressing words about waiting for you to defeat and die, and for everyone to escape or even surrender. Yi Qing smiled slightly. 5 masters, I have been observing for so long, and the number of people coming from Yuanting's army this time is almost 50,000. In addition, they also have more than 20 innate experts, which can be said to be menacing. As for our Kong Tong sect, there are only more than 1,000 people in total. Do you really think that no one can see the huge disparity between the two sides? In everyone's mind, the enemy's tens of thousands of troops are facing more than 1,000 of our own. Even if our Kong Tong faction occupies the convenient location, we will not be able to resist for long. After all, we are not real soldiers, we are just a sect of rivers and lakes. We are good at fighting in rivers and lakes, not on the battlefield. We have not prepared bows, arrows, kerosene and other things that are conducive to defense. In this case, no matter how much you talk, it is useless. Those who do not want to advance and retreat with the Kong Tong faction, and live and die together, will be absent-minded when defending. Not only can I not exert much strength, I am also constantly thinking about how to escape, or even how to surrender to the enemy, so as to gain a chance for myself. So, I might as well put this issue out in the open and inspire guilt in those who are not firm-minded. At the same time, I only ask that everyone stick to it until I am defeated or die. At that time, if they choose to escape or surrender to the enemy, they will not be considered betraying the Kong Tong sect, but following my orders as the leader. In this way, before I am defeated, they will definitely defend wholeheartedly and do their part well. Look, the results now are pretty good, everyone is full of energy. Seeing the scene of the Kong Tong sect being in full swing, chopping wood and chopping rocks, the 5 elders of Kong Tong could not help but nodded. Yes, the effect is quite good. But in this case, the pressure will be concentrated on you alone, my disciple. Can you really defeat the 50,000 Yuanting army by yourself, plus more than 20 innate experts? You know, even if the great hero Guo was so powerful, he still died in the joint encirclement and suppression by the Mongolian army and the strong men such as Pasiba. Yi Qing showed confidence. Don't worry, 5 masters. My disciple is different from Guo Daxia. His cultivation level may be stronger than mine, but in terms of real strength, I'm afraid he can't compare to me now. In terms of endurance, he was already old at that time, and his energy and blood had declined severely. However, my disciple was in his prime, and he had also developed innate external skills. Even if he fought against an army of 50,000 for 7 days and 7 nights, he would not be exhausted. In addition, the enemies I face now are much weaker than the enemies Guo Daxia once faced. It's not a problem at all to solve them with my own strength. Perhaps I still have a chance to use this battle to condense the sword intention in one fell swoop. At that time, I will make up for the shortcomings in spiritual will. Even if Yuanting's national master Ba Siba takes action himself, he will not be my opponent. Unless he can break through to the golden elixir realm of martial arts, he can suppress me, and that's just suppression, he can't kill me. Hearing Yi Qing's explanation, the 5 elders of Kong Tong were extremely shocked. The direct disciples of the 5 of them have grown so much in just over a year. According to Yi Qing, if it weren't for the huge difference in mental and willpower, his current strength would be comparable to that of Master Ba Siba of the Imperial court. Yi Qing is the direct disciple of the 5 of them, and the 5 elders of Kong Tong do not think that the other party will deceive them on such an important matter. The other party's true strength now is probably not much worse than Ba Siba and Zhang Sanfeng. No wonder he has the confidence to defeat Yuanting's 50,000 strong army and more than 20 innate experts. In this case, the 5 of them have nothing to worry about. They can just cooperate with their disciples fully. Therefore, the 5 elders of Kong Tong said excitedly, "Disciple, don't worry. As long as you really have the strength to deal with Yuanting's army, we 5 old guys will definitely lead the Kong Tong faction to defend this place and will never hold you back. However, if you can't solve it, you don't need to worry about us and just run away for your life. As the saying goes, if you keep the green hills, you won't have to worry about running out of firewood. As long as you, the head of the Kong Tong sect, are still alive, the Kong Tong sect will not be destroyed. We can just rebuild the Kong Tong sect in the future." Yi Qing showed a confident look. "Don't worry, 5 masters, they can't do anything to me. My external skills and physical body have reached the 4th level of innate strength. Yuanting's 50,000 strong army's attack on me is completely scratching my head. Only those innate warriors can threaten me. So, as long as I deal with them, Yuanting's 50,000 strong army will be at my mercy." After hearing this, the 5 elders of Kong Tong no longer worried, and instead helped many disciples and elders to chop wood and rocks. With the help of their 5 innate 2nd-level experts, the efficiency of Kong Tong's team in preparing for rolling logs and falling rocks immediately increased several times. Time passed bit by bit, and in the blink of an eye, it was 2 hours later. The Yuanting army finally arrived 50 meters below the slope of the Kong Tong sect's mountain gate and stopped motionless. From a distance, it doesn't seem like much, but when you get closer, you realize that the Yuanting army numbering 50,000 is really a huge force. Each soldier is wearing armor and holding a weapon, and they look majestic. Their overall aura cannot be compared to this group of Zhonghu people from the Kong Tong sect. If it weren't for Yi Qing standing at the front to withstand the pressure, and the massive amount of rolling logs and falling rocks they had worked hard for 2 hours to prepare, many of the disciples would have been frightened to the point of trembling. At this time, the soldiers in the middle of Yuanting's army suddenly gave way to a path. Wong Ba came forward with more than 20 people, looked at Yi Qing angrily, and said, "Yi Qing, Master Yi, you didn't expect that, did you? We meet again. I have long said that as long as I escape Wudang Mountain, I will lead a large army to Kong Tong in the future, destroy your entire Kong Tong sect, and make you, the head of the Kong Tong sect, become the leader of Kong Tong. Sinner. Today, I am here to fulfill my promise. How's it going? Do you regret blocking me at Wudang Mountain now? Ha 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 ha." Looking at Wong Ba who was laughing heartily, Yi Qing showed a helpless look. "Regret? I really regret it. If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have rushed to kill Lu Zhang, but I would have killed you Wong Ba first. After all, if I kill you, maybe nothing like what happened today will happen." Wong Ba was not angry when he heard this, but continued to laugh. "Yes, if I had died in Wudang Mountain, I would not be what I am today. You don't know yet, right? In fact, His Majesty had no intention of letting me command these 50,000 troops to conquer your Kong Tong faction and you, the leader of Kong Tong. I, the king, waited for a year and finally waited for the national preceptor to come out of seclusion. Then I persuaded the national preceptor and obtained the national preceptor's support. So, the group meeting is going to be like this today. I am also the king who commanded an army of 50,000 people. I traveled at night and rested day and night. It took me a full month to escape the eyes of all the forces in the rivers and lakes and arrived at the foot of Kong Tong Mountain. I cut off your escape route and let you can't escape even if you have wings. Although you are powerful and can kill the strong man in the palace treasure house, but today the king of Japan has an army of 50,000, and there are so many innate strong support, what can you do to resist? I will try my best, but I will give up my martial arts and kneel down to beg for mercy. I may be able to let you live for a while longer. Otherwise, your life will be worse than death. Life is worse than death." Hearing this, Yi Qing finally laughed. "Ha ha ha ha, what a big joke. Is it because of the crooked melons and jujubes behind you that you want me to live a life worse than death? Or because of the 50,000 pigs under your command that are waiting to be slaughtered? Wong Ba, I am really curious, can you just tell me?" As soon as these words came out, Wong Bao's smile couldn't help but pause. What an arrogant tone. "Since you look down on these innate masters around me so much, then I will ask one of them to ask Master Yi for advice first. Master Ku, go and try and see if you can kill this Master Yi." After Wong Bao finished speaking, an ugly-looking tutuo with reddish-brown hair, a face full of knife marks, jumped out from behind the crowd. His eyes were locked tightly on Yi Qing, exuding strong killing intent. Brandishing the sword in his hand, he quickly rushed to Yi Qing and launched an attack on him. "Master Ku, right envoy of Light Fan Yao. Why is he still in Ruyang Palace and not leaving? Didn't the new right envoy of Light inform Fan Yao at the beginning? But how could he listen to Wong Bao so wholeheartedly? Although Fan Yao has the peak of the 5th level of innate cultivation, his sword skills are even more exquisite and magical, and his overall strength is comparable to the 6th level of innate strength, but to the current Yi Qing, it is nothing at all. It would be easy to kill him, but the identity of the other party was a big problem. Yi Qing did not fight back for the time being. Song used Qinggang to dodge. At the same time, he kept using the voice transmission method on Fan Yao. "Fan Yao, right envoy of light, why are you still staying in Ruyang Prince's mansion? Are you still attacking me now? Don't you know that your identity has been exposed a long time ago? Fan Yao envoy, Fan Yu envoy." Seeing that Yi Qing never fought back, Wong Bao seemed to have guessed Yi Qing's doubts and thoughts, and continued, "Master Yi, what you said about Master Ku is true. Doesn't he know that I, the king, have long known his true identity, that he is Fan Yao, the former right envoy of Light of the Ming cult? I used to really want to conquer him and give him a lot of cultivation resources. Unfortunately, I originally wanted to focus on the bright moon, but the bright moon shines on the ditch. It wasn't until more than a year ago, when we were in Wudang Mountain, that I knew he was a white-eyed wolf. After accepting the resources given by this king, not only did he not have the slightest idea of surrendering to me, but he also transferred most of these resources to cultivate 10 new bright rightists for Mingzhou. That's right, he is the guy who stopped me at Wudang Mountain. I will have to kill him sooner or later. You and I both know that the position of the right envoy of light of the Ming cult has always been vacant. If it were not for Fan Yao's support, how could a new right envoy of light appear? So, after I followed Mr. Hebawang and returned to Ruyang Prince's mansion as quickly as possible, I decided to operate on Fan Yao. So, in order to express my gratitude to Mr. Hebawang for rescuing me, I held a banquet and invited Fan Yao to attend. At that time, he didn't know that I was going to attack him, so he didn't have much defense. He drank the huoxin powder that I had specially prepared for him for a long time. He doesn't know what happens after that, because his mind has been suppressed by duoxinzin, and he has become a lackey who only obeys the king's orders. How's it going, Master Yi? I'm a loyal lackey. Isn't my strength pretty good? After hearing these words, Yi Qing suddenly realized that it turned out that his mind was suppressed by special drugs. No wonder he was indifferent to his own message transmission. In this case, I have nothing to worry about. After making up his mind, Yi Qing no longer hesitated. Seeing Fan Yao stabbing him with his sword, he immediately used the perfection-level flying catkins and light smoke technique. In a flash, he appeared next to Fan Yao. He grabbed his sword-holding arm and shoulder with both hands and twisted them hard. Just hearing a click, the arm was immediately broken by Yi Qing, causing Fan to let out a cry. Then, without waiting for Fan Yao to react, he used Qing Kong again and appeared on the other side of him. He repeated the action just now and broke his other hand. It wasn't until this moment that Wong Ba and the innate warriors around him realized that they were shocked by Yi Qing's speed. Wong Ba even subconsciously took a few steps back and ran behind the innates. At the same time, he shouted, "The 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow, please save my dog." The 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow did not hesitate at all, and immediately drew their bows and swords. The next moment, 8 arrows shot at Yi Qing quickly, appearing on his back almost in the blink of an eye. However, Yi Qing didn't turn around at all. With a wave of his hand, he released a powerful force, blocking the 8 arrows, controlling them to change direction, and quickly shot at Wong Ba and others. The technique used here is the Great Shift of the Universe, which relies on the 6th level of innate cultivation and the Eternal Green technique that absorbs the essence of the 9 Yang Divine technique. It only took Yi Qing half a day to master the skill of shifting the universe to the 6th level very easily, just like the protagonist Zhang Wuji. The last 7th level, which he had seen, requires someone with the innate 7th level True Liquid Realm cultivation level to master it quickly. Otherwise, it would have to be polished slowly over time. Therefore, Yi Qing did not practice the 7th level for the time being. Moreover, the Great Shift of the Universe on the 6th level was enough for him. At this moment, he could easily control the arrows of the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow and reflect them back. At the same time, he said, "An arrow comparable to the 4th level of innate power. Not bad, but you can still enjoy it for yourselves." After saying that, he kicked out 2 consecutive kicks, breaking both of Fan Yao's legs from the knee joints. With this, Yi Qing tapped Fan Yao's acupuncture points continuously with both fingers, then threw him in front of the 5 elders of Kong Tong behind the mountain gate. "5 masters, he has been tapped by my broken limbs, and there is no threat to him anymore. Just keep an eye on him and don't let him die." After doing all this, Yi Qing turned around again and looked at Wong Ba and others. Seeing that they are intact, there may be something unexpected. They have so many innate warriors, their strength is not bad, and there are 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow who can shoot arrows to stop them again. It would be a bit funny if he was injured because of these 8 arrows with 4 levels of innate power. At this moment, Wong Ba looked at Yi Qing, his face full of fear. "Master Yi, you are so fast and cruel, you actually broke Fan Yao's limbs." Yi Qing sneered, "What's this? Isn't there also the black jade intermittent ointment of the Vajra Gate?" As soon as these words came out, a monk jumped out. "The thief, it is indeed you. Let me tell you why your figure and movements just now are so familiar. It turns out that you broke into my Vajra sect treasure house 2.5 years ago, severely injured me, and robbed my Vajra sect's black jade intermittent ointment and prescription. Quote, if I hadn't delayed the time and allowed my disciples to discover the situation in the treasure house, I might have died at your hands right then. Seeing this monk, Yi Qing sneered and said, "You have the guts to jump out of the Vajra gate." At that time, I was new to the world and lacked experience, so I was plotted by you invisibly, allowing you to successfully delay the time and luckily save my life. Then he ran away overnight, causing me to miss the opportunity to kill you. I thought I would find time to go to your Vajra gate to deal with you later. Since you took the initiative to come here today to seek death, I will help you." After saying that, he flashed his body and rushed towards Gang Shong. In an instant, he crossed the 10 feet distance between the two sides, came to Gang Shong, and slapped him with a palm. Feeling the terrifying palm power contained in this palm, which had already broken through to the innate 4th level rigidity, his complexion changed drastically, and he immediately desperately activated the secret skill Prajna Vajra Palm. Its palm power was already comparable to the innate 5th level. However, Yi Qing's palm is too powerful. Even if it is useless, it still has the power of the early stage of the 8th level of innateness. It is simply not something that can be resisted by a strong opponent. Hearing a bang sound, he was knocked out instantly and fell in front of Wong Ba and others. He was vomiting blood in his mouth, his breath was fading rapidly, and he seemed to have lost his combat effectiveness. When Wong Ba saw this, he was horrified. He retreated and shouted, "Everyone, this person is too strong. He has already defeated our 2 masters. Please take action together. Don't give him a chance to defeat him one by one." As soon as he finished speaking, 3 people jumped out from the crowd beside him and quickly helped Gang Shong up. After everyone looked at each other, the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow bent their bows and arrows again and launched an attack. Then, 10 people jumped out together, and 7 of them rushed directly towards Yi Qing, attacking with the arrows of the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow. The remaining 3 people ran to help Gang Shong up, and they all said with concern, "Junior brother. Junior brother. Junior nephew. Are you okay?" Gang Shong said feebly, "2 senior brothers, and the master's uncle, don't worry, I won't die yet. You should also take action together and help others." Hearing what Gang Shong said, the 3 of them looked at each other, and one of them said, "Nephew, be careful and retreat to the 8 heroes of the arrow to heal your wounds first. I will take your 2 senior brothers with me." Quote, after saying that, the 3 of them rushed up together and cooperated with the other 6 people to launch an attack, powerful Vajra Finger. Vajra Prajna Palm. Seeing 3 more new troops coming from the enemy, Yi Qing didn't pay attention. Instead, while blocking easily, he asked them, "Listening to what you just called Gang Shong, could it be that he is San and the head of the Vajra sect?" These 5 are all old acquaintances. Hebawang is the only one of the 2 elders Xuanming, and the 4 great Dharma kings of Tantric Buddhism, Qingshan, Hongbai, Langxin, and Daokong. But I don't know who the remaining 2 are. The reason why he did not directly attack with all his strength was to defeat the people who besieged him with overwhelming force. This is not only because the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow behind him are bending their bows and setting up arrows to lock him in, waiting for the opportunity, distracting part of his attention, but they are also guarding against the old man beside Wong Ba who has never made a move. The other party's eyes were fixed on him, as if he was looking for an opportunity. Although he did not take action, the threat he posed to him was the greatest among all. In addition, the other party was wearing eunuch clothes, which made Yi Qing inexplicably think of the old eunuch who was the descendant of Sunflower who he killed in the treasure house of Yuanting Palace. Could it be that he is also a descendant of Sunflower? It is precisely because of doubts about the identity of the other party that even if Yi Qing is extremely powerful, he does not dare to be careless. He must find a way to deal with the old man who poses the greatest threat. On the other side, after hearing Yi Qing's question, the 10 people's pupils shrank, their faces showed solemn expressions, and they secretly became more vigilant. They didn't expect that 10 of them would work together to attack, and with the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow behind them looking for opportunities to cooperate at any time, a total of 18 innate experts would join forces. The head of the Kong Tong sect actually dealt with it so easily and comfortably, and even asked about their origins. It seems that the opponent's strength is more powerful than they imagined, so they must use some tricks to make this trip. Thinking of this, one of the 2 monks who was questioned by Yi Qing immediately replied, "Amitabha. The Yin monk is Yuan Zhen, a disciple of the late Kong Jian Shen monk in Shaolin. Donor Yi, when we were in Wudang Mountain, we made the 5 elders of Kong Tong lose the face of the Shaolin Temple. Today, the poor monk is cooperating with the Ruyang Palace on behalf of the Shaolin Temple and is here to get rid of you. In addition to the Shaolin Temple, there is also the Beggar Clan, the largest gang in the martial arts world in the past, who has also cooperated with the Ruyang Palace. This is the 8-armed divine sword Fang Dongbai, the head of the 4 elders of the Beggar Clan. Now, the masters from Shaolin, the Beggar Clan, and the Ruyang Palace are working together. Donor Yi, you have no hope of winning, so you should just surrender as soon as possible. In this way, the young prince of Ruyang Palace can still give the Kong Tong sect a way out and let your Kong Tong sect continue to pass on. But if you, Donor Yi, stubbornly resist to the end, everyone in the Kong Tong sect will definitely learn from it, and then all life will be in ruins, Amitabha. Hearing this, Yi Qing couldn't help but sneer. I have to say that this self-proclaimed Master Yuan Zhen of Shaolin Temple has very good eloquence and acting skills. If it were someone else who came here and heard that the Shaolin Temple and the Beggar Clan were roped in by the Ruyang Palace to deal with him, I'm afraid they would immediately feel a little panicked. During the attack, it is easy to expose some flaws because of the fear of the 3 parties joining forces, so that the other party will not seize the opportunity to injure or even cause serious damage. It's a pity that Master Yuanzhen doesn't know that he already knows the true identity of his vest, which is the Hunyuan Thunderbolt Hand Cheng Kun. Yi Qing said with a joking look on his face, oh. It turns out it's Cheng Kun, the famous Hunyuan Thunderbolt player in the world, and Ada, the servant of the Ruyang Palace. You 2 traitors, can you still represent the Shaolin Temple and the Beggar Clan? You'd better go to bed early, there's everything in your dreams. By the way, it seems that you 2 have no chance to dream, because I will let you sleep here today. As soon as these words came out, Cheng Kun and Fang Dongbai's faces quickly turned dark. Mad, you know our true identities and you still ask. The co-author is treating us like monkeys, right? Without any hesitation, Cheng Kun and Fang Dongbai directly showed their true abilities, Phantom Yin Finger. 8-armed quick sword. In an instant, an extremely sinister and powerful finger shot towards Yi Qing's heart. 7 or 8 arms seemed to appear in the void, wielding swords and attacking Yi Qing Go. Seeing this, the other 8 people also used their unique skills, Powerful Vajra Finger X2, Vajra Wave Palm, Tantric Mahamudra X2, Sakyamuni Elephant Throwing Technique, Dragon Elephant Prajna, Gong, Xuanming Divine Palm. At the same time, the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow in the rear also seized the opportunity to get Li and immediately shot the arrow in their hands. For a moment, 18 innate masters attacked simultaneously with a tacit understanding. The strongest person among them is naturally Cheng Kun, who is not inferior to any of the 2 elders Zan Ming on Wudang Mountain, and has the peak innate cultivation level of the 5th level. The Phantom Yin Finger and finger power he exerted was able to break through the shackles and was comparable to the early stage of the 6th level of innateness. Next are the 4 great Dharma kings of Tantric Buddhism. As strong men in the middle stage of the 5th innate level, they have exploded with power at the peak of the 5th innate level. When they fought against Yi Qing in the Tantric sect, they used the secret method to achieve the early or even mid-level combat power of the 6th level of innateness. Now that so many people are besieging Yi Qing together, there is no need for them to use the secret method again. Next is the 8-armed divine sword Fang Dongbai, who has the cultivation level of the 5th level of innate initial stage. His 8-armed fast sword is very fast, but the power is quite satisfactory. It is the early stage of the 5th level of innate level, which corresponds to his cultivation level. Then there is Hebawang. Although he used the Xuanming Forbidden Technique at the beginning, his cultivation level fell to the peak of the 3rd level of innateness after the time of the Forbidden Technique ended. However, in more than a year, with the help of a large amount of resources from the Ruyang Palace, he has recovered his late 4th level innate cultivation, and the Xuanming Divine Palm he displayed is comparable to the peak of the 4th innate level. The extreme cold poison contained in the palm power can even threaten the 5th level of innateness. After Hebi Wang, there are the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow. Their cultivation was not very good, and they only broke through to the 2nd level of Shantian, but the power of the 8 arrows they shot was comparable to those who had gone to the early stage of the 4th level. Finally, there are Asan and the leader of the Vajra sect. They are 2 innate 3rd level early stages and 1 innate 1st level cultivation respectively. The power they erupt is a little higher than their cultivation levels. Unfortunately, for Yi Qing, it is completely negligible. After all, his external martial arts training is Dragon Elephant Golden Body Kung Fu has reached the late stage of the 4th innate level. Whether it is the body-protecting golden light or the original strength of the physical body, he can completely ignore attacks below the innate 4th level. The power from the early stage to the late stage of the 4th innate level is also unable to break through the defense, but if it attacks Yi Qing, it can barely rely on the counter-shock force of the strength to resist, causing some shock to the internal organs in Yi Qing's body. Only those with power above the late 4th level of innate ability can successfully break through the defense and truly cause harm to Yi Qing. Of course, there are so many innate warriors here, and Yi Qing cannot just rely on the golden light of body protection and the power of physical defense to resist, he must use martial arts to resist. As soon as he had a thought, a protective golden light suddenly appeared on his body. At the same time, he clapped his palms together, and a powerful innate energy surged out, blocking all the attack's innate arrows. The world is shifting. With his roar, the great shifting power of the 6th level of the universe instantly moved back the unique skills of the head of the Vajra sect, Ah-Er, and Ah-San, and returned them intact to the 3 of them. Not only that, he also turned the arrows of the 8 divine arrows and shot them towards the 3 innates of the Vajra sect. The power of the remaining 7 masters of Tantric Buddhism, Cheng Kun, He Biwing and Fang Dongbai, is not so easy to control and move. After all, the great shift of the universe he performed had already spent most of his energy on the 8 heroes of the Divine Arrow and the trio of the Vajra sect. The small amount of energy left can only allow him to control the 25% of the power that has been transferred to Cheng Kun's 7 secret arts, let them collide and destroy each other, and eliminate another 25% of the power of these unique skills. The remaining 50% of the power of these unique skills can only be carried by himself. Just hearing a series of roars, the protective golden light lasted for less than a breath before it shattered on the spot. Although they could not hold on for long, the damage-free passive effect stimulated by the protective golden light once again reduced the power of Cheng Kun and others' unique skills by 30%. Therefore, after their special skills bombarded Yi Qing, they only knocked Yi Qing back 7 or 8 steps, and a trace of blood overflowed from the corner of her mouth. It did not cause much damage. On the contrary, the 3 members of the Vajra sect were not only unprepared to receive a full blow from themselves, but also suffered heavy losses. 2 of them, Ah-Er and Ah-San, were shot through 8 arrows by the 8 heroes of the divine arrow that Yi Qing moved over, and their feet were nailed to the ground. It was extremely miserable. As for the head of the Vajra sect, a little Karami who has just broken through to the innate realm is not worth wasting the arrows of the 8 heroes of the divine arrow. Seeing the situation between the enemy and ourselves, Cheng Kun immediately reminded, "Everyone, be careful, this is a great shift in the world of Mingzhao's secret knowledge. We can control the power of our secret knowledge to cancel each other out. If it weren't for the fact that there were so many of us and our secret skills were so powerful, he could even completely control our respective secret skills to attack ourselves or others, just like the 3 members of the Vajra sect. So, we must be careful when we take action. We must not give this person the opportunity to perform the great shift of the universe." As soon as Cheng Kun finished speaking, Yi Qing took action, pointing out the index fingers of both hands, displaying the unique skill of Yang finger. Immediately, a series of Yi-Yang finger-pointing chi comparable to the 8th level of innateness were shot towards Cheng Kun and others who were several feet away, forcing them to keep moving and unable to get closer to Yi Qing for the time being. Seeing this scene, Mr. Hua, who was following behind Wong Ba, showed a solemn look in his eyes. "My young prince, you were right. The power of this man's Yang finger is indeed the 8th level of innate power. It seems that a year ago, he really killed his senior brother, father-in-law, in the palace treasure house. However, now that his true strength has been discovered, let's let the Sa family take action." After saying that, he saw eunuch Hua swaying and disappearing next to Wong Ba like a ghost. The next moment, he had arrived beside Cheng Kun and others and ordered, "The Sa family will contain him, you continue to attack." While speaking, Hua Gonggang turned his wrist and fired 2 silver needles straight into Yi Qing's eyes. Yi Qing's Yang finger was supposed to be an Arankar. But Hua Gonggang's silver needle is smaller than the chi of a Yang finger, but the power it contains has reached the peak of the 7th level of innateness, which is not nearly as good as the early stage of the 8th level of innateness that Yi Qing is currently showing. If you want to use one yang finger to direct qi, it will be difficult to knock away 2 silver needles unless you use all your strength. But in Yi Qing's view, this eunuch, who is also suspected to be the descendant of Sunflower, has high cultivation, strong strength, and speed that is not inferior to him. If he is let go, there will be endless troubles. If Yi Qing shows strength comparable to Zhang Sanfeng and Ba Siba as soon as he arrives, he will definitely scare them into retreating behind the 50,000-strong army, or even running away directly. Therefore, he can only continue to maintain the 8th level of innate strength until he finds an opportunity to severely injure the opponent before he can kill him in one fell swoop. But in this way, after the yang finger qi of the innate 8th level of power collides with the silver needle, it will be pierced by the latter. Then, after both of them destroy part of their power at the same time, they will continue to move in the previous direction. If Yi Qing didn't react in time, wouldn't he be injured by the silver needle? Therefore, Yi Qing did not use yang finger to deal with it, but stretched out his hand and pulled out the Qingzi sword tied in the scabbard behind his back, drew it along a mysterious arc, and easily knocked away the 2 silver needles. Then he used the flying cat light smoke skill, and in a flash, he came to Mr. Hua and stabbed him with his sword. Hua Gonggong activated Sunflower Qi and easily dodged the sword. At the same time, he slipped out a sword from his wide cuffs, held it tightly in his hand, and swung the sword straight to Yi Qing's heart. Yi Qing used the Dugu 9 swords and raised the Qingzi sword in his hand. Not only did he block Hua Gonggong's sword, he also took advantage of the situation and struck a sword at Hua Gonggong's chest. If father-in-law Hua hadn't been fast and dodged in time, but his clothes were only scratched, I'm afraid he would have been injured. At this moment, after just one move, Hua eunuch knew that Yi Qing's sword skills were terrifying. He could not win against Yi Qing's sword skills at all, so he could only rely on speed to contain her. So, he kept urging the sunflower energy to soar, turn, and move around Yi Qing, and from time to time he drew his sword to attack Yi Qing's vital parts. Chang Kun and others also launched another attack to assist Hua Gonggong in an attempt to distract Yi Qing's energy. But what shocked them was that Yi Qing's swordsmanship was so exquisite. He used offense instead of defense, attacking everyone's flaws or weak points one after another, defeating their attacks, and making his own defense watertight. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Kong Tong sect was in high spirits. Except for the 5 elders of Kong Tong who knew Yi Qing's true strength, everyone else was cheering for the strength of their leader. Looking at Yuanting's side, whether it is the 4 innates of the Diamond sect who were severely injured by Yi Qing, or Wong Ba who hid in the rear, it is unbelievable. This is not right. Without Hua Gong's intervention, Yi Qing was injured by everyone's joint efforts. Even if the injury was not serious, it means that he suffered a loss. But now, with the help of eunuch Hua, a powerful man with the 7th level of innate talent, there is nothing he can do. What the hell is this? Could it be that Yi Qing with a sword in his hand and Yi Qing without a sword in his hand are 2 different people? So much stronger. Suddenly, Wong Ba panicked. He thought that by bringing so many experts to deal with Yi Qing this time, not to mention it would be foolproof, but at least the success rate would be over 90%. But he didn't expect that just at the beginning, he had already lost 2 people. Later, Yi Qing single-handedly fought against the 18 innate experts on his side, and destroyed the combat effectiveness of the 3 of them. In the end, even if a strong person at the 7th level of innate strength joins the battle, they can't do anything to him. This made Wong Ba feel very outrageous. He thought that he had to do something to contain or distract Yi Qing's energy. Otherwise, he felt that the innate experts on his side would be worried. With this in mind, he first used Qing Gong to bring the 4 Gangxiang people from the Vajra sect to his side for cultivation. Then he shouted loudly, "The army has obeyed the order. Your Majesty has a decree. This time I will not defeat the Kong Tong sect and kill Yi Qing, the leader of the Kong Tong sect. I vow not to give up. All of you, quickly attack the Kong Tong faction. Promise." After hearing Wong Bao's order, the 50,000-strong army immediately bent their bows and arrows and shot into the sky. The next moment, 50,000 arrows drew parabolas in the sky and fell towards the people behind the Kong Tong sect mountain gate. Seeing the rain of arrows coming, the 5 elders of Kong Tong were immediately horrified. The people of their Kong Tong sect had not prepared armor, shields or other defensive equipment. If they were shot, they would definitely be in danger. So, he immediately shouted, "Everyone, please find a place to hide. If you can't avoid it, try to block it." After saying that, he took the lead and blasted out 7 injury fists in the sky. But compared to the rain of 50,000 arrows, the strength of the 5-7 injury fists they exerted was really insignificant. They could only clear away the arrows within a 3-foot radius around the 5 people. Protected some disciples. As for the disciples in other places, the 5 elders of Kong Tong have limited abilities, so they really can't protect them, so they can only rely on themselves. Suddenly, those with weapons waved their weapons to block. Those without weapons first looked for a place to hide. If they couldn't find it, they could only move and use fists and kicks to resist. Disciples and elders who were above the 4th level of acquired life were not bad. As long as their luck is not too bad, they can withstand the arrows shot at them. As for those outer disciples and handyman disciples who are below the 4th level of acquired life, they cannot stop the arrows and can only resign themselves to fate. Suddenly, screams rang out from behind the gate of Kong Tong sect. Seeing this scene, Wong Ba clapped loudly and applauded. "Good shot, shoot again, use your bow and arrow directly to destroy Kong Tong. Do you really think that since this place is easy to defend and difficult to attack, I, the king, will have nothing to do with you Kong Tong sect? Ha 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 ha." Not far away, Yi Qing, who was fighting many innate masters, felt helpless when he heard Wong Bao's wild laughter. Time was tight at that time, and all of it was used to make rolling logs and falling rocks. How could there be time to make shields and other defensive equipment, or build defensive buildings? It seems that he must help everyone in the Kong Tong sect, otherwise, after a few more rounds of shooting, there will not be much left in the Kong Tong sect. At this moment, the 50,000 Yuanting army started the second round of volley. Seeing this, Yi Qing first forced Hua Gonggang and others back with one sword, then sheathed the Qingzi sword and jumped into the sky. Tinyunzong. In an instant, Yi Qing jumped to a height of 10 feet above the ground in front of everyone's shocked eyes. In the distance, Wong Bao was startled when he heard the words, "Tiyunzong," from Yi Qing's mouth, as this Wudang's Qinggang secret skill Ti-Wei Zong. It's fake, right? How could it be possible to jump so high all at once? But with the facts in front of him, he couldn't help but not believe it. Even though Tianzong could jump 10 feet high, it was impossible for Yi Qing to fly by himself, right? But what Wong Bao didn't know was that Yi Qing was really using Feng Shu Yufeng's soaring technique. He could fly by himself, let alone 10 feet, or even 100 feet. He could also fly up and show it to everyone. However, being able to do such a thing is already very shocking in the world of college entrance examination exclusive copies, so it is better to keep it a secret. He has not forgotten that Wong Bao is determined to be his enemy. Once he kills Wong Bao today, it is very likely that Wong Bao will take revenge on him after he is resurrected in the future. There are 2 ways to take revenge. Yi Qing has already thought of it for Wong Bao, or Wong Bao has a big background in Blue Star and uses the power behind him to find him and take revenge on him. Either Wong Bao didn't have a good background in Blue Star, so he simply deliberately leaked Yi Qing's information and powerful talent to kill someone with a borrowed knife. Let those believers and slaves of the Abyss monster find and kill him quickly. Therefore, Yi Qing thinks she should keep a low profile. Although he has single-handedly fought against so many innate strong men and is now very high profile, but if he can be low-key on this basis, just be low-key. Because in general, he is just an innate warrior now, not a martial arts golden elixir level warrior. You must know that the number of college entrance examination pioneers in the entire Dragon Kingdom exceeds 1 billion. After completing the 22-year survival mission, there will definitely be some people who can break through to the golden elixir realm of martial arts. And with a base of over 1 billion college entrance examination pioneers, the number of martial arts and golden elixir realms will not be so small. As long as Yi Qing reveals his apparent cultivation to the innate realm, he won't attract much attention after the college entrance examination dungeon is over. On the contrary, if he shows the ability to fly, even if his cultivation is only in the Shantian realm, he will never get as much 547 attention as those pioneers in the golden core realm of martial arts. After all, flying in the air is an ability that can only be acquired when one has reached the late stage of martial arts golden elixir. If Yi Qing acquires this ability in advance, wouldn't it be more proof of his talent? It was precisely because of this that he just jumped 10 feet and shouted the 3 words, Tianzong, in his mouth to confuse the audience. At this moment, Yi Qing, who had soared to a height of 10 feet, looked at the second round of arrow rain that happened to fall, and immediately mobilized the strong energy in his body and spread it out to the surroundings, covering 100 feet in radius, and shouted, "The world is moving." In an instant, under the control of Yi Qing, arrows within 100 feet radius were turned and shot towards the Yuanting army below. Because when Yuanting's army shot arrows before, they always aimed at the position behind the mountain gate of Zun Kong Tong sect. Therefore, the area covered by the arrow rain is not too large. After being manipulated by Yi Qing to move the arrows within 100 feet, there were not many arrows left, and the threat to everyone in the Kong Tong sect was greatly reduced. On the contrary, the soldiers of Yuanting had to suffer the baptism of most of the arrows shot by themselves. In an instant, the 50,000 Yuanting army was wailing. Because compared with the people of the Kong Tong sect, they only have an extra piece of armor on their bodies, no shields for defense, and they don't know all kinds of martial arts. Facing the falling rain, they are not as good as the people of the Kong Tong sect in dealing with it. Musha. Even Wong Ba and the 4 members of the King Kong sect who were hiding in the Yuanting army were attacked by a large number of arrows. Fortunately, Wong Ba had the cultivation level at the early stage of the second level of Shantian and the combat power at the peak of the second level. However, he was able to protect himself and the 4 Gangshong from the Vajra sect in the rain of arrows, which made Gangshong and the others extremely grateful. On the other side, after Yi Qing controlled the rain of arrows within 100 feet, he began to fall freely. If it had been anyone else, they would have probably already grasped the Qingzi sword tightly, and when it landed, they would have been able to deal with the attacks from eunuch Hua, Cheng Kun, the 8 heroes of the arrow and others in time. But Yi Qing, who has long-range attack methods, did not draw the sword immediately. Instead, he separated the mad points with the index fingers of both hands and kept displaying the innate 8-level power of Yi Yang finger-pointing chi. I saw those Yang fingers pointing at each other, like machine guns firing. Not only did they push back everyone who was about to attack Yi Qing, but they also wounded all the 8 divine arrows that were a little further away, 20 or 30 feet away. As a result, the 8 heroes of the divine arrow have lost their threat in a short period of time. When Yi Qing successfully landed, Hua Gonggong, who was closest to him, was 3 feet away from him and could not take advantage of this opportunity to attack him. The next moment, Yi Qing pulled out the Qingzi sword again, used the flying cat light smoke skill, and took the initiative to rush towards Cheng Kun in another direction. He yelled, "Cheng Kun, you are a thief. Back then, you first severely injured the previous leader and elders of our Kong Tong sect, and then led Xie Xuan to steal the 7-injury fist and kill the previous leader and elders. You committed a heinous crime. Be punished." Seeing Yi Qing running toward him with a sword, Cheng Kun was horrified, and Fu did not hesitate to use his unique magic yin finger. Seeing this, Yi Qing had no intention of dodge, and waved the Qingzi sword in his hand. He didn't need to use any sword skills at all, he just stabbed out with one sword. With the powerful innate chi, he easily defeated the Wanyan finger, and then flew towards Cheng Kun like an arrow. Cheng Kun, who couldn't beat him, could only avoid Yi Qing's stab by rolling like an unsightly lazy donkey. But he had just stood up, and before he could stabilize his body, Yi Qing, who was extremely fast, had already come to him again and struck out with a palm, directly knocking Chengdian away and severely injuring him. Then, he turned around and slashed through the void with his sword, knocking back eunuch Hua who was chasing him. At the same time, he moved his feet and came to Cheng Kun again. He waved the green sword in his hand and cut off the tendons of his hands and the hamstrings of his feet at an extremely fast speed, effectively crippling his ability to move. From the moment Yi Qing fell to the ground to the time when Cheng Kun's hands and legs were cut off, even eunuch Hua couldn't save Cheng Kun. However, in just a short breath, Hubby Wang, the 4 Dharma kings and others around him were stunned and even frightened. But father-in-law Hua was extremely angry. He even failed to save Cheng Kun even though he personally took action. This shame was comparable to face-to-face NTR, "Little thief, you are seeking death." Sunflower secret technique, open. I saw that the sunflower energy in Mr. Hua's body surged, and in an instant he forcibly broke through the shackles of the cultivation realm, rising to the 8th level of innateness. The next moment, Wudang moved, brandishing the sword in his hand, and stabbed Yi Qing straight into the heart. With the blessing of the 8th level of innate sunflower chi, his speed was 30% higher than before. He asked himself that with Yi Qing's speed just now, it would be difficult for him to dodge his sword. Even if it didn't hit the heart, it could still hit other parts of the body and cause serious damage to the opponent. But I never thought that Yi Qing did not dodge, because his strength and speed just now were hidden. He saw that the opponent was under the influence of anger and no longer had any remaining strength in his attack. He had already used all his strength on this sword. He finally smiled. Isn't this the chance to deal with the opponent? I saw Yi Qing waving the green sword in his hand and performing the sword-breaking style of Dugu 9 swords. At a mysterious angle, he struck first and struck at the flaw in Wudang's sword, directly knocking his sword away, out. At the same time, with his other hand, he punched out a 7-injury punch with all his strength. At this time, Mr. Hua is in a state where his old strength has been exhausted and new strength has not been regenerated. He can no longer resist or dodge. He can only watch the opponent's fists bombarding him. In an instant, a terrifying 7th level punch force comparable to the peak of the 9th level Shantian directly knocked him away, causing him to vomit blood. His entire face became pale at a speed visible to the naked eye. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.